At Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, we honor tradition, celebrate faith, and cherish memories. Take an active role in establishing your legacy for future generations by pre-planning your final arrangements today. Alleviate your loved ones of future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of interest-free financing and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Alice, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
512, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Edens, Kennedy, Ike, and Stevenson are off on time. The only trouble spot we can see right now, I-80 eastbound. You're jammed up right at Richards and at Briggs this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with AccuWeather's Steve Williams.
A couple of flurries around this morning early. Otherwise, there'll be clouds giving way to some sun. Breezy and cold today, high near 20. Clear, very cold tonight with the low at 3. And then clouds and sun for tomorrow, high at 23. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Honestly, quite a bit of snow overnight, at least an inch in many spots. We have light snow at O'Hare in 23. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
Are you heading into the new year with that same old joint pain? Get moving again in 2025 with help from our very good friends at QC Kinetics. You know, everybody's doing it, including Joe Rogan, who recently mentioned his positive results from regenerative medicine on his podcast. Revitalize your joints with advanced orthobiologic treatments at QC Kinetics. No steroids, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. This is the future of medicine, using an array of natural solutions like PRP to attack the pain from arthritis. Want to learn more about how you can refresh your joints, get lasting relief with these amazing treatments? Call QC Kinetics. The consultation is free with Saturday appointments available. Deal with that joint pain now so you can make the most of the new year. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth, talks about the importance of tax planning in retirement.
A qualified financial planner can take you through all the steps to show you every single legal way you can use to reduce and minimize your state income taxes across the board, so that, again, you keep more of your money and your family keeps more of your money.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions and you'll destroy your life. Listen to The Flot Line with Rick Hughes this Sunday morning at 7. The Flot Line describes a main line of resistance in your soul built on God's Word. Listen this Sunday for inspiration, motivation, education, all without manipulation. That's The Flot Line with Rick Hughes this Sunday morning at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. At his inauguration on Monday, Donald Trump pledged to create the next golden age for America. In a hard-hitting speech in front of some of his fiercest opponents, Trump declared that the nation had taken a wrong turn over the last few years and pledged to restore America's strength and standing in the world. Any effort to restore American strength and standing must be rooted in reality, and Trump warned that he intended to restore reality immediately. In his speech, Trump vowed an end to social engineering and government in the military and declared that it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. This fulfills the promise to restore sanity to the federal government. It means the end of government compulsion that forces people to participate in the delusions of others. And more importantly, it stops the pressure on children to maim themselves for the virtue-signaling benefit of the adults around them. The era of make-believe is over. The adults are back in charge.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
For over 23 years, Applied Mechanical Sales has offered boilers, water heaters, and exhaust venting to commercial mechanical contractors. They aid in the selection of standard and high-efficiency hydronic system equipment for replacement or new construction. From schools to churches to high-rises and hotels, Applied Mechanical provides high-quality, cost-effective Camus boilers and water heaters in many of Chicago's most iconic buildings. Mechanical design firms trust Applied Mechanical to support them by specifying the size and type of boilers to best match a building's load profile for the worst of Chicago weather conditions. Engineers and contractors can be confident that they'll experience trouble-free operation for the next 15 to 20 years. Applied Mechanical Sales ensures their boilers are properly installed and operate at peak efficiency long after the initial startup. Go to AppliedMechanicalSales.com to schedule a site visit and boiler replacement assessment. That's AppliedMechanicalSales.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Trump's DEI edict this week. We've talked quite a bit about this. We've been talking about DEI for some time, of course, in the context of the race and gender identity politics of the cultural Marxists. And what we find out is that Trump's executive order was not only a promise made and a promise kept, but it was done in a shrewd manner. We'll discuss that momentarily. But it doesn't mean that waving a wand uproots this $125 billion bureaucracy that has taken hold of the federal government over the last 4 years in particular. Amazing how fast that can happen, isn't it? And so we find that the fourth branch of government, the self-anointed branch of government, the bureaucracy, is doing what it can to frustrate Trump's order that these agencies within the agencies be closed, that personnel associated with these agencies be put on paid leave until they and their positions can be permanently terminated. CNN reporting on what they're doing.
CNN analyzed the proposed budgets of 20 federal agencies. HHS, for example, requested $113 million in its budget for training for diversity in the health workforce. And the Department of Defense asked for $50 million to fund DEI-related activities. That amount accounts for just 0.006% of the department's total budget request, according to a spokesperson. The Biden administration expanded DEI protections to a broader group of Americans, including women, rural communities, military spouses, and caregivers.
What diversity, equity, and inclusion programs do is open opportunities to qualified, deserving people who worked hard. It's not about dictating hiring decisions or filling quotas.
Mm-hmm.
And while we don't know exactly how many of these federal employees will be impacted by today's actions, what we can say is that the actions that we are seeing by the Trump administration here to roll back all DEI will certainly reverberate into communities throughout the country when you talk about taking away grants and policy programs that benefit many of these underserved communities. One other note on this issue of them asking for call-outs for people within these agencies who may have information on federal employees who may have been disguising certain DEI initiatives. We should note CNN reported just last week that there were federal employees within these agencies working to quietly edit job descriptions and policy descriptions because they feared this very day would come, Wolf.
All right, Renee.
And CNN is not reporting inaccurately for a change in terms of changing job descriptions to embed DEI personnel in these agencies. ATF, Robbie Starbuck, and others on the case. ATF, alcohol, tobacco, firearms. On January 20th, a woman named Lisa Boykin was the chief diversity officer in the Office of the Director. On January 22nd, she metamorphosized into a senior executive at the Office of the Director. No more chief diversity officer. No, I'm not a chief diversity officer. Lisa Boykin, me, I'm a senior executive. I have nothing to do with DEI. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, as well as the text line. Well, this is why. It's so important to have enforcement mechanisms with respect to the bureaucracy. And there is one. Oh, there's more than one. There's the culture of pointing it out and ostensibly being rewarded. There's the responsibility of the directors and the secretaries of these agencies to say this whole agency within the agency right here, these were the DEI girls and boys. Point them out. Part of your responsibility as an executive. But there's also this. The new head of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is a woman named Andrea Lucas. And she makes clear her position. I look forward to restoring even-handed enforcement of employment civil rights laws for all Americans. In recent years, this agency has remained silent in the face of multiple forms of widespread overt discrimination. Consistent with the president's executive orders and priorities, my priorities will include rooting out unlawful DEI-motivated race and sex discrimination, protecting American workers from anti-American national origin discrimination, defending the biological and binary reality of sex and related rights, including women's rights to single-sex spaces at work, protecting workers from religious bias and harassment, including anti-Semitism, and remedying other areas of recent under-enforcement. You have to have some hammers, particularly when you're dealing with a bureaucracy that has gotten used to this DEI culture and all of the personnel and all of the money devoted to it. A lot of inertia going in the opposite direction. So just interesting to note. The larger point, though, of course, on this is one that our friend Eli Steele made again. Eli Steele, the son of the great Shelby Steele. It's a chip off the old block he is. Eli Steele, you remember, is a documentarian. He's got an excellent piece about affirmative action, and basically DEI is just a dressed-up 2.0 version of what we used to call affirmative action. He talked about, in his Substack, talked about Trump's executive order. And he writes, the damage done to our nation by affirmative action was profound. The great sin of affirmative action, and when I say affirmative action, DEI, they're interchangeable. It's the same philosophy behind the nomenclature. The great sin of affirmative action was that it kept the idea of race alive in our minds. It turned everyone into an identity of immutable characteristics. It deluded us into thinking we could use the poison of race to engineer redemptive innocence from America's racist past. He makes the point, this is not what foot soldiers in the civil rights movement wanted, at least not many of them, the Shelby Steeles, the Thomas Sowells of the world. They wanted to abolish racial categories that undergirded white supremacy and, by extension, black inferiority under the law, not in reality, of course. That's what had to be dismantled, and, of course, we agree. He goes on to write, though, this is an important point. It can't be lost in this discussion. You always have to go to premises of policies, the philosophy behind them. That has to be addressed straight away so people understand and can make properly informed decisions about how they view these proposals and policies. As my father, Shelby Steele, pointed out, the sin came when white liberals, and by the way, that term is also anachronistic, isn't it? Just like affirmative action. You got to update that. There's no such thing as a liberal anymore in the idea that this is somebody who's left of center. This is somebody who believes in government. No, those people have been either radicalized or expunged from the Democrat Social Party. We're talking about full-on cultural Marxists. And that's who's behind all of the identitarian politics. I mean, that is their proxy. The sin came, writes Eli Steele, when liberals decided that pursuing racial diversity was racial innocence from America's racist past. If they could prove their universities or workplaces were racially diverse, they were innocent. In this cold, self-serving pursuit of innocence, they turned blacks and other minorities into racial preferences, and in doing so ushered in a new era of racism. Black development was largely sacrificed in the pursuit of white innocence. People like his father and Thomas Sowell were called racists. Today, we have a permanent black underclass in cities all over America. Black students who descend from America's legacy of slavery still touch the bottom of nearly every education statistic. We also have the rising white identity politics, and we are more tribal than American. The cruelty of this pursuit for white innocence was that there was no accountability or responsibility from the liberal whites as well as the liberal blacks who derive great power from milking white guilt, from academia to the streets. Instead, white supremacy was blamed. Books were written about redlining, blackbusting, and those evil racist Republicans. And then systemic racism and Jim Crow 2.0 and mass incarceration and all of the other catchphrases of this cruel group of leftists who were more concerned about their perceived innocence than they were about embarking upon a better country that was where equal opportunity was more pervasive, and of course equal justice under and protection from under the law were hallmarks. But this is such an important point. This is the sentimentality. This is the barbarism of the left. Cruel. Take a note of the words that Eli Steele uses, because that's how we should talk about this. It is cruel what they did. It was self-indulgent. It was navel-gazing. It was for their benefit, not the benefit of those people they used as mascots, as I want to say. Cruel, inhumane, indifferent to the suffering of. That's what Trump is seeking to eradicate with his executive order, doing his part at the federal level with the help of personnel like Miss Lucas. This is what we need to do at the cultural level as this debate rages on. Winning elections means to policy ends, and those require ongoing policy and philosophical debates. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
It's a new year, but the need continues. Hi, Amy Jacobson here to let you know that you could still be part of our annual Food for the Poor campaign. We are working to provide food for a year and access to water to children in Latin America and the Caribbean. And we need you to help us reach our goal. We are so close, especially if you own or run a business or make the marketing decisions for a business. You can still become a business benefactor by making a tax-deductible gift of $2,500 to Food for the Poor. That gift will feed 50 children for all of 2025. And to show our appreciation for your generosity, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air right here on the station between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you. To take advantage of this amazing deal, just call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, 847-472-8951 or go to 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
AM 560, The Answer.
Got a great text message. Dan and Amy, we need MEI instead of DEI. MEI meaning merit, excellence, and intelligence. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, Tom Homan's off to a good start. 5:38.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
5:32. We have 24 degrees and light snow showers. 7 San Antonio, Texas police officers are injured. They were shot attempting to contact and help a barricaded suicidal suspect last night. Police Chief William McManus.
The folks who were able to be evacuated were evacuated. The others who were not able to be evacuated safely were not.
The first 4 were shot. First 4 police officers were shot as they approached the unit, leaving them with what are believed to be non-life-threatening injuries this morning. President Trump will address the World Economic Forum remotely today, the annual event being held in Davos, Switzerland. The president defending the almost 1,500 pardons given to defendants, all charged in connection to the January 6 rioting.
They were in there for 3.5 years, a long time. And in many solitary confinement, treated like nobody's ever been treated so badly. They were treated like the worst criminals in history. And you know what they were there for? They were protesting the vote because they knew the election was rigged and they were protesting the vote.
In an interview with Fox News, Trump saying most of those were absolutely innocent. The House has passed the Laken-Riley Act.
On this vote, the yeas are 263 and the nays are 156. The bill passed. And without objection, the motion to reconsider laid on the table.
Legislation was passed Wednesday aiming to clamp down on illegal immigrants who commit crimes. Historic winter storm that brought record-breaking snowfall to Florida is now moving up the coast toward the Carolinas. 2 teens are dead after a shooting at a Nashville high school on Wednesday. Police Chief John Drake.
There is another male, 17-year-old young man that was wounded with a graze wound, and he has been treated at Vanderbilt and released.
The shooting took place in the cafeteria of Antioch High School. Closing arguments underway in the Michael Madigan landmark corruption trial at the Dirksen Federal Building. A worker at the Barack Obama Presidential Center was rescued after tumbling at least 18 stories down a ventilation duct. Chicago Fire rescued that worker, found conscious and alert, and taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center. Large number of aldermen are condemning an art installation at the Chicago Cultural Center as anti-Semitic. The public exhibit in the city-run building features a large, 2-sided protest puppet with bloody caricatures of Uncle Sam and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. A car crashes into a house in Lake in the Hills Wednesday. It happened Wednesday afternoon, according to Huntley Fire Protection responders. Authorities say it appeared A medical emergency caused that driver to crash all the way into the home, but while there was major damage, only minor injuries. And Illinois State Senator Chapin Rose this morning is introducing a new bill. He says it will make voting go smoother in the state. The measure would require voters to start using a photo ID in order to cast a ballot. Currently, IDs are not required to cast a ballot unless you are registering to vote in Illinois at that time. Northwestern, a strong win over Indiana last night in the Big Ten, 79-70 in college hoops. Also, Loyola beat Fordham last night, 70-66. UIC took down Evansville, 78-67, and Valpo fell to Drake. The news, a service of Quick Delivery Service, ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk can see something different about Trump.
One word would describe President Donald Trump. One word: ready. This man is ready. He has a stoicism to him that we have not seen in his 8 years of the presidency. He has a centeredness to him, a purpose, a clarity of thought, a complete command of the room.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
My name is Dr. Joe Mealy. I've been a dentist for 56 years, and I'm a certified nutritional consultant. I started taking Balance of Nature 15 years ago. I think most people think when they eat fruits and vegetables, this is their idea of fruits and vegetables. I had an apple today. I had a pear today. I had a banana. That's their fruits and vegetables. They don't understand that each one of those fruits and vegetables has different nutrients than the others. Balance of Nature has made a significant difference in my life, in my wife's life. I feel we're on this earth to help each other, and if other people can benefit from my experience, I think that would be one of the best ways I could justify still being here at 81.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping as a new preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
When I hear realtors boast about servicing a 3-county area or selling a home every 15 minutes, I think, what level of service could their clients possibly be getting? This is Chris Jacobs with Century 21 affiliated in Inverness, and my message is a little bit different. If being a realtor for more than 20 years has taught me one thing, it's that all real estate is local. While I can't say I'm the #1 realtor in the country, I can tell you that over the past 10 years, I've sold more homes in Inverness than anyone else. My team specializes in Inverness, Palatine, and Arlington Heights. We pride ourselves on providing our clients exceptional customer service and local market knowledge. So if you're selling your home or looking to purchase a property in our area, then call me, Chris Jacobs, at 847-401-4859. That's 847-401-4859. Or visit us at chrisjacobshomes.com.
Each office independently owned and operated, an equal housing opportunity.
What's that juice you're drinking?
That's my New Year's resolution.
Your New Year's resolution is to drink juice?
Well, it's to lower my blood pressure by drinking 120 Life.
Oh, yeah, 120 Life. I think I've heard about that. It's the natural way to help control blood pressure.
Yep, without the side effects of medication. It's formulated with a blend of superfruit juices, endorsed by hundreds of health professionals. And it tastes great.
Huh. So you just drink 120 Life?
To help control my blood pressure.
Well, that's an easy New Year's resolution to keep.
Try 120 Life yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. They're so sure 120 Life can help lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code NEWYEAR to save 15%. Yes, start enjoying 120 Life for a new year with new lower blood pressure. Order now to save 15%. That's 120life.com. Use coupon code NEWYEAR at checkout.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
540. Let's get an update on the roads now. A little snowy out there in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, but not too many problems. Inbound Stevenson jamming up a bit. Cicero to Kedzie. Dan Ryan inbound, showing some brake lights. 87th up through 79th. And delays showing up already on the Bishop Ford, right at the Stony Island feeder. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. We'll have flurries this early morning. Cold with clouds breaking and a high near 20. Clear and cold overnight, low 3. Clouds and sun tomorrow, high 23. Currently, cloudy with still some light snow crossing the area. Clouds at O'Hare, 24. The snow falling at Midway, 25. Flurries in Lansing, 23. And 24 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Tom Homan, the Trump point man on border security, as you're well aware, on Fox and Friends yesterday, talking about firing out of the gate when it comes to ICE operations to remove people who pose a public safety threat and are also here illegally. And it's off to a fast start, as he described to Lawrence Jones.
What would a person have to do to get a visit from ICE?
Well, for it to be in the country illegally, first of all, I mean, there's nothing in the immigration law that says you got to be convicted of a serious crime to be removed under the INA. So if you're in the country illegally, ICE can visit you. But right now, as we said repeatedly, and the President Trump's been clear, we're concentrating on the worst first, the public safety threats and national security threats. And just yesterday, in the last 24 hours, ICE arrested over 308 serious criminals. Some of them were murderers. Some of them were rapists. Some of them raped a child. Some were sexual assault of a child. So ICE is doing their job, and they're prioritizing just as the president said they would. So the ICE is performing excellent right now out in the field, and they're going to continue every day.
10,000 trial lawyers chained together at the bottom of the sea. I'd call that a good start.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that very same line. Where's the video of it, though? We didn't see it. Did it really happen? Just saying that's what, the Democrats want the video of it. Because I'm sure they'll claim there's a good soul in one of those hundreds of people who were arrested.
They can claim whatever they want. I mean, the information is the information. In point of fact, after Holman talked to Fox and Friends yesterday morning, early morning, Fox later checked in, and that number of 308 that Tom Homan mentioned had risen to 460 aliens. 460 aliens arrested by ICE in a 33-hour period, whose criminal histories included, as you heard, sexual assault, robbery, burglary, aggravated assault, drugs and weapons offenses, resisting arrest, domestic violence. Agents arrested nationals from countries including Afghanistan, Angola, Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Senegal, and Venezuela. What illegal immigration problem? Arrests took place across the United States, including Illinois, Utah, California, Minnesota, New York, Florida, and Maryland. They are moving stealthily, but purposefully, aren't they? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Arrests include, if the left would like to check on these, please do. A Mexican national named Jesus Perez arrested in Salt Lake City, charged with aggravated sexual abuse of a child. A Honduran national, Franklin Osorio Cruz, convicted of driving while intoxicated, arrested in New York. A Jamaican national arrested for promoting a sexual performance by a child less than 17 years of age and possessing child porn as well. A Mexican national convicted of second-degree assault of a child, arrested in St. Paul, Minnesota. A Colombian national arrested in San Francisco, conviction of sexual penetration with a foreign object on an unaware victim. The best, most
get them out of here.
What's your friend from the Episcopal Church? Most are our neighbors. They're our friends. They're law-abiding. They're tax-paying.
No, they're not. They're not all that. She forgot about these bad boys.
Yeah, well, of course she did.
It didn't fit her narrative. I mean, do people care now? Because now you have 4 Chilean nationals who were arrested for robbing Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow's Ohio home during a football game. It's not just the Tren de Agua Venezuelan gangs that they have to worry about. It's the Chilean ones, too. Because they said they were there in Cincinnati, Dan, to look at the snowfall. It's a joke. I mean, they just travel around and rob people, rich people's homes, and that one just happened to be the quarterback of the Bengals.
Well, so this is underway, and again, Illinois mentioned in terms of where ICE operations have already been conducted, and we can expect more to come. I know Jelly Belly is
hanging out in Pilsen.
Well, I know he's rolling around talking about some 2,000 people that could be what he would call targeted or rounded up by ICE. You've got to use the rhetoric of victimhood, even though these are not victims; they're criminals. But 2,000? Oh, it's got to be a bigger number than that in Chicagoland.
Well, Mayor Johnson was on MSNBC. Don't you worry. We still are a sanctuary city and state, Dan.
We have established a welcoming city here in the city of Chicago. We have reaffirmed our commitment to ensure that undocumented individuals will have the full protection of that ordinance. There's a complementary law through the Illinois Trust Act that ensures that the state of Illinois is a sanctuary state.
Yeah, there is a complementary state law that Pritzker supports, that Ronner signed, that a lot of Republicans support. That's what you have in Illinois. That's exactly right. In Illinois, it's not Brandon Johnson solely by any stretch of the imagination. It's the Illinois political power structure in its current formation.
And people, don't forget Ronner, your Republican governor, did this.
Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, continues to turn. Now, I understand, and we've discussed this at some length over the many months since Eric Adams was indicted and decided to speak more frankly about the Biden administration and move away from it and refuse to indulge in the Trump fear-mongering that was attendant to the campaign. We understand that he has political self-interest to serve here, and he is probably facing an uphill re-election fight. So I'm not wowed or buffaloed by a Eric Adams conversion story, because I'm not sure there is one. But that doesn't mean that his commentary is not helpful. You can continue to ask the tough questions of Eric Adams. Well, based on what you're saying, as you're moving away from this idea of open borders, then why have you not moved to eliminate New York City's sanctuary city ordinance? Why is it just about money and, sort of throwing up your hands? This is unsustainable. We can't keep doing this, sending the migrants that are sent to New York City to other places that are, quote unquote, welcoming, as you heard from BLM Brandon, to people in this country illegally, who then many of them who commit more illegality. So, I mean, all of this is taken in context, but nonetheless, Eric Adams is the mayor of the most populous city in this country, and when a Democrat from New York City goes south on his own party, that's worthy of discussion, and that's what he did, sitting down with Tucker.
And, you seem to have left the party. No, the party left me, and it left working class people. And our conversations that we should be talking about are not the issues that everyday people that are in power are talking about. People are concerned about the future of their families, and that should be our focus, and that's the focus of this administration.
It does seem that way.
And he recounted to Tucker what his interactions were with the Biden regime back when he started to question these open borders policies and started to send up flares saying New York City is overwhelmed and we need more federal support, is interesting. I hadn't heard this version of events, particularly the specific line he was treated to. Take a listen.
Because you complained about allowing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of illegals from foreign nationals who have no right to be here to come to your city, and you have to pay for it, and you complained. And this indictment was punishment for complaining. Is that what you're saying?
That is clearly my belief, and based on several aspects of it, that I can't go into detail, but there are other aspects of it that shows me that, I was targeted because of that.
So if we could just walk through and leave out the parts you can't talk about, of course, but this happens at the beginning of the Biden administration, which is close to the beginning of your administration. All these foreign nationals start showing up in New York. They have no money, they have no jobs, they have no place to stay, and you have to deal with them. And the taxpayers here have to deal with them. So you go to Washington. What were those meetings like?
Sharing with them that this was a problem.
Who did you speak to?
I spoke with Julie Chavez, is one of the personnel, Perez, another personnel. I spoke with the president himself. I spoke with the president first, then the president came here to New York City. The governor and I sat down with the president, and I said, Mr. President, I'm not sure what they're telling you about this problem, but this is a terrible problem that's playing out on the ground, that we need to fix our border, and we need to just stop allowing people to come into the country with no destiny. We don't know what we're doing with them. And there was some that were coming here that were almost 6 months to a year, in some cases 2 years, without any work authorization. Like, what do you do with someone that cannot provide for themselves for that long period of time?
Well, what do you do?
We had to house them. We had to feed, clothe, house, educate 40,000 children, hold them into a shelter system, the complete package of what you would do for an adult that can't take care of themselves.
And so you tell the president and his aides this, and what do they say?
Basically, be a good Democrat, Eric.
Be a good Democrat?
That was the basic overall theme. One of his aides told me that, listen, this is like a gallstone. It'll pass.
This is like a gallstone. Wow. It'll pass. That's a signature line right there. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. By the way, Julie Chavez, who he mentioned as one of the point people, in addition to the big guy himself who he spoke with, but one of the big guy's point people that he spoke with on this issue. You know who Julia Chavez was? Well, I mean, she dates back to the Obama administration, but you know what her last title was?
DEI something.
Kamala Harris's campaign manager.
Oh, take an L. Yeah, a few of those.
Mm-hmm. How about Eric Adams? Because what he was describing in terms of what New York City had to do is, of course, well, not had to do, chose to do, is, of course, exactly what Chicago and Illinois have chosen to do and continue to choose to do. With wide swaths of people here illegally who have no work authorization, to the extent that some do have work authorization from Venezuela. That's obviously uneven, given the influx of Tren de Aragua gangbangers. That's what we're doing. What Eric Adams is describing, that's what you are paying for in Chicago, in Chicagoland, in Illinois writ large. I mean, we've talked to Ted Dabrowski from Wirepoints about this. When you start to include the Medicaid coverage for people in this country illegally, I mean, we are already well into the billions of dollars. But I just don't think that there is the resonance here for some reason, because it just isn't. I mean, there's nobody driving this point home other than, well, the people I just mentioned, this show and Wirepoints, and a couple, and Jeannie Ives and a couple of other people. That's it. But if you had leadership at the mayoral level in the big city, or even suburban leadership, or an opposition party, at least you have some actually opposition party leaders in New York State, the Lee Zeldins of the world, your incoming EPA administrator, for example, but there are others. And here, Eric Adams, very interesting. Very interesting and very useful. And if it comes down to Eric Adams versus handsy Andy Cuomo, you can count me in the Eric Adams camp, even if he is completely transactional and he's doing this solely for political survival. Politicians are means to policy ends. I don't need to fall in love with them. I don't need them to be philosopher kings. I just need them to act in furtherance of my interests, which is exactly what Eric Adams said. And now you got to watch what he does. Mike in Highland Park.
Hi, Dan, Amy. Just a question. Has Biden cut off the funds for these people? I mean, if they're paying for them to stay, house, food, phones, all this other stuff, has he cut those funds off?
No, they actually just opened another 2,000-person shelter in the New York City area. So,
thanks for the call, Mike. Well, you know, what's happening and how quickly it can happen at the federal level in terms of what the Trump administration officials will do with drop shipping cash or green lighting work authorizations. I suspect that will be coming to an end in short order. Now, what happens at the state and local level, where there is the sort of massive spend going on that Eric Adams described in New York City, that I described in Illinois, well, there's no end in sight to that, is there? And if that means we have to have conversations in places like Cook County about, do you want to eliminate police, fire, or parks the way they're having those conversations in Fairfax County, Virginia? Well, then so be it, because this is the approach that we have chosen through the people that we have installed in public office, isn't it? Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-208-0414, 800-208-0414. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and you get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-208-0414, 800-208-0414, and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
You know, I'm 80 years old, I'm a veteran, and the reds and the greens, I really appreciate the vegan capsules from Balance of Nature. So I can definitely tell you it's all 100% positive. It really, really works.
I love the fiber and spice. I'm getting started back on the fruits and vegetables, but the fiber and spice, it's the best fiber I've ever taken in the last 20 years.
It's the best gift I've ever given myself. I just feel better. I swear it's due to Balance of Nature.
I am really, really happy with the product and couldn't say more to advise people to buy them.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping as a new preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, I hope Trump goes full Malay on Davos when he speaks to the World Economic Forum, Larry Fink and company. We'll have some of what's been going on in Davos at 6:06.
And what in the world did Barron Trump say to Biden during the inauguration? But now let's head to the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Closing arguments begin in the Michael Madigan corruption trial. Aldermen are condemning an art piece at the Chicago Cultural Center. Planned Parenthood of Illinois closing 4 clinics. A Brookfield boy shot to death by his stepfather in Wisconsin. Northwestern takes down Indiana, and the Bears introduce Johnson. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
1,500 more U.S. troops will be sent to the southern border.
I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News. As President Trump makes border security a priority, planning mass deportations of illegal immigrants, and he's ready to battle Democrats planning to resist in sanctuary cities, telling Fox's Hannity.
We're trying to get rid of them. We're trying to end them, and a lot of the people in those communities don't want them. You know, California is a big example.
Would you cut off their money?
I might have to do that.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson reports.
As promised, Trump has ordered immigration and customs enforcement officers to carry out a series of raids in sanctuary cities. In the first 33 hours of President Trump returning to office, ICE has made nearly 460 arrests of illegal immigrants, including many with criminal records.
Now, one of the many new Trump executive orders and actions facing a legal challenge in court today, a lawsuit attempting to block the president's plan to end birthright citizenship, allowing anyone born in the U.S. to automatically be American. The president also reacted on Fox to President Biden pardoning family members before leaving office.
He didn't give himself a pardon. And if you look at it, it all had to do with him.
Now, Congress had investigated Biden family business dealings overseas in an impeachment inquiry, but Democrats insist there's no evidence of wrongdoing. President Trump also told Fox he wants to reform FEMA and disaster response.
I'd rather see the states take care of their own problems.
And tomorrow he'll visit areas of North Carolina ravaged by hurricane flooding last year, and the Los Angeles area scorched by wildfires as 2 new ones burn, leading to thousands of evacuations. 7 police officers recovering in San Antonio, Texas, after being targeted by a suicidal man they responded to.
The first officer arrived, was shot, and 6 others subsequent to that were shot as well.
San Antonio Police Chief William McManus says the gunman was later found dead. There's no school today or tomorrow at Antioch High in Nashville, Tennessee, where they're still trying to figure out why a 17-year-old student shot and killed a 16-year-old girl in the cafeteria, then killed himself. 2 other students were injured. America's listening to Fox News.
24 degrees. At 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Closing arguments underway in Michael Madigan's landmark corruption trial at the Dirksen Federal Building. A worker at the Barack Obama Presidential Center was rescued Wednesday after tumbling at least 18 stories down a zigzag ventilation duct. He was rescued about 45 minutes later by Chicago Fire, rushed to nearby University of Chicago Medical Center, conscious and alert. Large number of aldermen are condemning an art installation at the publicly funded Chicago Cultural Center as anti-Semitic.
This is not the type of thing that we at the government should be promoted. It perpetuates a stereotype that we don't need to be perpetuating. We can't stop people from making private art, but on the other hand, this is something that is in a public space, taxpayer-funded space, and has no business being there.
Among the signers to that letter, Alderman Bill Conway, they're all demanding that Mayor Brandon Johnson take the art piece down. Planned Parenthood of Illinois closing 4 clinics in the state. They include centers in Ottawa, Decatur, Bloomington, and the Inglewood neighborhood of Chicago. A man wanted in an Urbana hit and run that took the lives of 2 Chicago area young women is in custody this morning. U.S. Marshals Service captured Juan Sainz Suarez yesterday in Milford, Texas. He was riding a bus headed to Mexico. Investigators ID'd him as the driver who injured 5 and killed Catherine Abraham of Glenview and Chloe Polson of Deerfield. Fortune Brands is making new investments and expanding their headquarters in Deerfield. The home and security products manufacturer will consolidate and streamline its U.S. division headquarter operations into a single global giant in Deerfield. Northwestern had a strong second half in a 79-70 win over Indiana at Welsh Ryan last night. Ty Berry, 23 off the bench. Brooks Barnheiser chipped in with 21. The Cats take on number 17 Illinois Sunday. Fighting Illini hosts Maryland tonight. In other college hoops action last night, Loyola in the A-10 beat Fordham 70-66. The news service, A Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago. But hurry, offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's a new year, and any day now, you'll see that credit card bill for all the Christmas shopping you did. It sure would be nice to start the new year with some new cash, wouldn't it? Well, AM 560 wants to make that happen. by giving you the chance to win $2,025 to start 2025. Enter for your chance to win at 560theanswer.com/cash. That's 560theanswer.com/cash.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Durkin, founding partner of the Martech Group, a global market research firm based in Chicago since 1985 and a longtime customer of Signature Bank. When our business moved to our current Loop location, I recall seeing Mick O'Rourke and his two business partners, Brian Duncan and Kevin Vestuga, laying the foundation for Signature Bank. When Signature opened its doors in 2006, I was proud to move our accounts there and become a shareholder. Being in the consulting business, the Martech Group has a keen understanding of the value of relationships, trust, and attentiveness. Whether dealing with our U.S. practice or our international operations, Signature Bank is always there when we need them. That's why the Martech Group is proud to have Signature Bank as a valued business partner.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Terry's Tiny Homes, Terry! Sure, as the only employee of her company, Terry was probably the front runner, but saving money getting personalized discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive, well, that gave Terry the edge. Over Terry.
Terry, Terry.
Keep awkwardly
Terry,
chanting your own name, Terry. You deserve it. Woo! Be your own Terry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
You said bye-bye to big government. Now it's time to trim the fat from Big Wireless. Pure Talk gives you the exact same service. They use the same cell towers, the same 5G network. You get better customer service, and you pay half the price for the exact same thing. Get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot for just $35 a month. Make the switch. You simply dial pound 250. You say the keyword save now. Save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
So when we saw the advertisements for this by reputable people, I told my husband, I said, well, we don't have anything to lose, so let's do it. Within a month, I could see a difference. It's really great. Y'all should let me do those commercials. Do you know how many people I have gotten to take Balance of Nature?
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads from our team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update is a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor, Valdecast.com. From an earlier accident, the outbound Kennedy still slows up between Lake and the Hubbard Street Tunnel. The Ike, right now jammed up inbound Des Plaines Avenue to east. Dan Ryan, right now 19 minutes on your inbound commute into the Circle, 76th up through Marquette. Trouble spot this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
A few flurries in the area early this morning. Otherwise, clouds will give way to some sun. Breezy, very cold day. High today 20. Clear and cold tonight with a low at 3. And then partly sunny, cold day tomorrow. The high at 23. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Clouds and light snow showers, 24 at O'Hare. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, President again, Trump, is going to be addressing the World Economic Forum from a distance. They're all gathered in Davos, as is their wont. All those losers. And that's not me saying it. No. That's none other than Yale professor Walter Reed saying so. Listen to this exchange during one of these self-referential panels at Davos between, well, it's not really between, but it's first you'll hear from Harvard professor and former DOD official Graham Allison, and then Yale professor Walter Reed. Their review of the landscape with Trump's comeback.
We shouldn't normalize Trump. Trump has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician, has risen. Somebody who, if we were 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, dead politically, known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything. There's a supreme confidence now about that. And lo and behold, I mean, this is a phenomenon that we shouldn't try to understand only in the terms that we're traditionally accepting. We should say something strange, new, and amazing is happening here, and we should study it. Yeah.
Walter. I would agree with that, both Graham on that, and I think I'd add that we need to also factor in not only who's won, which is Trump, but who's lost, which is to say us. That is to say the sort of general kind of intellectual, professional, managerial people who sort of thought that the world was basically, history was over and we were administering and trying to manage things according to rules that were all clear and known, and that history was kind of cumulative and that, tomorrow, even though we see this tech revolution happening around us, tomorrow's still going to be basically like today with incremental shifts. That's not how things work, and especially not how things work at this kind of moment when a technological transformation is really biting into the economy on all kinds of levels in a transformational way. And I guess I would throw into that the epitome of the us who is losing here is Europe. That the European Union and by and large its member states have misread the direction where events were going, and that the European Union is the causes that it is interested in, climate, human rights, some others, as well as the methods of diplomacy that it prefers, are simply being gradually kind of marginalized as something new, not necessarily something better, but something new moves into the center.
Way to hedge there, Professor Reed, but yeah, it's better. It's new and it's better, generally speaking. And interesting, the description, at least Reed was intellectually honest enough to describe those in attendance as the losers that they are, that they completely misread the moment and have for a long time, that they fomented this revolt and the comeback story. And by the way, I mean, yeah, I agree, Trump's probably the greatest political comeback in American political history, but I mean, there are other approximations, including not that long ago, that you would think a Harvard and Yale professor would want to take judicial notice of, like, I don't know, Nixon losing in 60 and coming back and winning in 68. But hey, what do I know? I'm not a Harvard or Yale professor. Choose your preferred term. The neo-feudalists, that's a Joel Kotkin-ism. The managerial class that you heard Professor Reed use, that's a Michael Lind-ism. This ruling class, Angelo Codevilla, those people, the managerial elite, the neo-feudalists, they are the losers in a Trump, Malay, hopefully Polyev in Canada world, as the West is hopefully, including Western Europe, being remade in the image of populist, small c conservatives, common sense conservatives like a Trump, perhaps a little bit more philosophical like a Malay. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And this is, it's a rare even step in the direction of self-awareness from this gaggle of globalists that meet annually in Davos, isn't it? Interesting. I mean, it's worth taking note of. By the way, just more on Davos, because it wasn't, that reflective. You had that sort of moment of reflection between Allison and mainly Reed. But by and large, it's just, we're just going to press on, keep our halos on, and pretend that nothing is happening around us. Well, that's what Larry Fink did. Larry Fink of BlackRock, who is one of the worst people in the world. He was tracked down walking the streets of Davos by Ezra Levant, who is Rebel News. Ezra Levant, he's a friend of our good friend Jerry Agar, who is a radio talker up in Toronto. And Levant tracks Larry Fink. And this is great. You really go online to watch the video, because he's walking with two bodyguards, of course, because he's a big, important guy. And Ezra Levant is just keeping the microphone out and just asking him a series of questions to which Larry Fink won't respond. But the questions are the answers. The questions represent the commentary.
Mr. Fink, are you going to follow Donald Trump's plan and get rid of DEI and ESG in your companies? BlackRock really is the opposite of Donald Trump in so many ways. You're authoritarian, you're anti-populist, you're top-down. Are you going to change it all in light of the U.S. presidency? How is Donald Trump, have you talked to Donald Trump since he was elected? Is the World Economic Forum a counterpoint to Donald Trump? Why are you running away from simple questions? Just answer a question. Have you talked to President Trump yet? Why are your bodyguards pushing away journalists, Mr. Fink?
They're simple questions. Is it that hard to answer a question that you need bodyguards and to swerve through traffic? Is the next 4 years going to be bad for business with Donald Trump in charge? Is peace the last thing you want on this world?
Which makes more money for you, war in Ukraine or peace in Ukraine? Ezra Levant's my name, Mr. Fink.
Did you just take a photo of you?
Am I supposed to be scared? Is that a threat, Mr. Fink?
The only thing Fink would do is he took out his phone and took a picture of Ezra Levant, which was bizarre. But it was such a great visual to represent the attitude of the Larry Finks of the world to a free people. I mean, essentially you have Ezra Levant representing the Fourth Estate and putting questions to the powerful, and the imperious Larry Fink just walking down the streets of Davos, of all places, with two bodyguards pushing around a couple of guerrilla journalists. A perfect encapsulation, perfect commentary on the World Economic Forum, on Davos, on these neo-feudalists. Perfect commentary. So hat tip to Ezra Levant for being there. Patrick in Glenview, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Yes, it's not the typical left versus right anymore with arguments where we would argue with each other all the time and the elite would be in the middle always winning. It's more of a populist vertical push-up towards the top, towards the elite, where the left and the right are coming together on issues and agreeing on issues and pushing the elite out at the top.
Well, I think that's true to some extent. Thanks for the call, Patrick. But the problem is that's not necessarily a good thing. If you're agreeing with the modern left, then you should be pumping the brakes and saying, is this taking this populist revolt in a bad direction? Because populism can go a lot of different ways, not all of them good. So the idea of throwing in with your philosophical enemy to strike a blow against the neo-feudalists, I get the appeal of it, and it may be useful in isolated incidents, but coming together to agree in major policy areas with central planners, because that's what the Marxist left is. Central planners, authoritarians, a word they love to use to project onto others what they are. That's not something to be celebrated. That's something to be considered. Are we doing it in this narrow instance where it makes sense? But let's not lose ourselves here just because we agree that some of us agree that Larry, on the left and right, that Larry Fink is a bad guy. Jim in LaGrange.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. So my take on it is Davos is a place where businesses and countries and continents go to die. And that's why we're not there right now as the United States of America, and Donald Trump is not bending the knee. The other thing, Dan, I heard some crazy stat yesterday, and I don't have all the particulars on it, but it's been like a decade since Europe has produced business from Europe has produced $1 billion company, and America produces them all the time. And as I always tell you, Dan, follow the money. That should tell you everything. Thanks. Have a good day.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, well, it's sclerotic socialist nations. That's the choices they made. And they did open borders 20 years before we did, at least to the extent. And, they've done internally what a foreign adversary couldn't have done externally, destroying themselves from within.
Yeah. Now
that's what those European countries did.
Places like Sweden are paying families $35,000 to leave.
And I agree with Jim. I mean, that Davos is a place where you go to subordinate your country's sovereignty to people like Larry Fink. That's right. Neo-feudalists. I'm not a neo-feudalist. I'm not a proponent of going back to feudalism or mercantilist economies. No. That's not how a free people should live and work and enjoy the fruits of their labor. Oh, by the way, John Kerry was there. Of course he was.
Of course. Let me guess, he took the private jet, and then he's going to talk about climate change.
Of course, first question, why the long face? And the reason is because we're still too reliant on fossil fuels.
The great challenge that we face is that the world is still stuck, more than it should be at this point, on the burning of fossil fuel. Now, if that fossil fuel burning can produce emissions that can be captured, we win.
Yeah. Somebody get that guy a subscription to Landman. It's interesting that the same old rap coming from the same old neo-feudalist ruling class types in Davos. Like we talked about the other day, this 1961 documentary on California wildfires. 1961 documentary on California wildfires, and exactly the part of the footprint where those devastating fires took place in the last couple of weeks. These pronouncements about the imminent end of the world by the John Kerrys and the AOCs and the Al Gores. Every year at Davos, the same rap. The basis for giving John Podesta a couple $100 billion to throw around at green energy gambits in this country under that backdoor Green New Deal. Ridiculous. Dan Rather. Remember Dan Rather?
Oh, I remember Dan.
1982. 1982. Good grief.
Well, I remember that's when they started scaring us about climate change in school.
42 years ago, CBS reporting on this phenomenon called the greenhouse effect.
Oh.
Gather round, pay attention. 25% of Florida was going to be underwater at any moment.
Oh,
no crops were going to be grown in the Midwest. And, of course, 82, you have the Al Gore kicker at the end of this breathless report from CBS News.
Concern about rising temperatures on planet Earth heated up a hearing here in Washington today. For years, scientists have theorized about the dangers of the so-called greenhouse effect, the warming of the Earth's atmosphere due to the burning of coal and oil. And in recent months, as David Culhane reports, Research has uncovered facts to support that theory.
Many scientists claim that the temperature of the Earth's atmosphere has been rising over the past 100 years, that the great sheets of pack ice in Antarctica are melting at a much more rapid rate than previously. And finally, that the sea level has been rising with increasing swiftness over the past 40 years. If these scientists are correct, about 25% of Florida would be flooded, along with low-lying areas all over the world. Climate changes could produce widespread disruption of agriculture. The American farm belt might be too dry, and the wheat and corn crops would have to move to Canada. Scientists blame the odorless, colorless carbon dioxide gas for these potentially dangerous changes around the planet. It is the greenhouse effect. The gas allows sunlight to filter down and warm the Earth. But like the glass of a greenhouse, the carbon dioxide tends to trap heat so that it cannot rise into space. The scientists maintain that the coal, oil, and gas we've been burning for 100 years have produced more and more carbon dioxide and helped overheat the Earth. Now, some political leaders endorse the demands for more CO2 monitoring stations, like this one in Hawaii. And they share the anger of the scientists at Reagan administration budget cuts at a time when they feel closer to getting definitive answers.
We are not doing the kind of research that we should be doing to determine whether or not these scientists who are so alarmed are correct in their assessment.
And what they find out will affect the lives and fortunes of millions of people, the very survival of cities like this one. David Culhane, CBS News, New York.
Anybody know how that ended? Did New York City survive? Is Florida underwater? Can we still grow crops in the Midwest? Do any of these dire predictions, the fact that none of them came true, does that matter? Not to the left, not to the crowd in Davos. Robert in Lakeview, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan, good morning. Wow, it's great hearing that clip. But I was calling in to, you were talking earlier about, I think it was in response to a caller, the left and the right agreeing about things and the dangers of that. Love Trump, so excited that he got elected, and, loved watching all the events of the inauguration. But, one of the things that gives me pause that I think was a good example of the conversation you're having is, him saying this is a national emergency, right? And I'm fine with the national emergency, we got to protect the border, but saying that there's a national energy emergency and we now need to, take executive action to change things around that. Like, I understand, if our oil reserves are low, we need to fill those up. That's maybe an emergency, but it feels very maybe Randian to me, taking out national emergencies to handle all these different things. It's very COVID era-esque, and that's a piece that's concerning to me, where I think maybe the right is using authoritarian tools of the left to achieve its agenda. Curious your thoughts.
Thanks for the call, Robert. I think that's a fair libertarian-oriented concern to have. I mean, and part of this, as we've discussed before, is it's a result of the abdication of Congress from exercising the lawmaking authority they have, the deference to the executive, and of course the executive branch is happy to, fill that vacuum, whether it's Biden or to a lesser extent Trump. So I think it's a fair concern, generally speaking. I don't think it's a huge concern in those examples that you provided, but I appreciate that you're thinking about raising the caution flag and saying let's not tend to the excesses of the left. Let's remember we have three co-equal branches of government, that we have a constitution, and we have statutory law, and there's a process to make changes and so forth, and that those processes are important and should be respected, so that people are able to distinguish us from the command and control left. I think that's all good. I mean, I think that's good to remind yourself of and ask the question in particular instances where you think Trump or anybody else is getting near the line or even crossing it. Absolutely. Peter in Highland, Indiana.
Dan, you're one of the only people who will probably get this reference. Didn't Larry Fink skirting those journalists remind you of Chauncey the gardener at the beginning of Being There when Peter O'Toole takes out the TV remote control to try to chase off the street cops who are bothering him?
Very good, and big Peter Sellers fan. But, you know, the difference, of course, is Larry Fink is a bad person, and Chauncey Gardner was just sort of, you know, well, he was just sort of a victim or a beneficiary of circumstance. Yeah, right, exactly. Larry Fink's a bad guy, and he's not a simple man. He's just a bad man. Thanks for the call, Peter. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
For over 100 years, St. Andrew's Lutheran School in the heart of Park Ridge has been dedicated to education excellence, spiritual growth, and service to the community. Parents continue to express their gratitude to the school for all it has to offer their children.
My second child just graduated from St. Andrew's Lutheran School in Park Ridge. Not only did both place into advanced classes in high school, but St. Andrew's teachers have enabled me to achieve my most important goal as a parent, to be confident that they know their Savior and that they'll be with me in heaven someday.
From kindergarten through 8th grade, your child will learn in a Christ-centered, individualized, nurturing environment. Take a tour, visit with faculty, and register for the upcoming school year on Sunday, January 26th from noon to 2. For details, visit St. Andrew's Lutheran School in Park Ridge online at standrewspr.org. Provide your child with the gift of a Christ-centered St. Andrews education. Find out more today at standrewspr.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The Socialist Spice Girls rail against the Laken-Riley Act at 6:36.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom and check in once again with Mike Scott.
24 degrees in Chicago. Snow showers at 6:32. Firefighters are battling to maintain the upper hand in a rapidly moving wildfire sweeping through the rugged canyons north of Los Angeles. LA County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney.
Is now estimated to be over 9,400 acres with 0% containment, with no structures reported damaged or destroyed.
Fire leading to evacuations and road closures for I-5. The blaze broke out Wednesday, resulted in 50,000 people being put under warning. Multiple people say President Trump is getting ready to send tens of thousands of troops to the U.S. southern border. One of them, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, thinks it's a great action.
The Pentagon and the people in the brass need to recognize that under Donald Trump, the military's mission is not just simply to be halfway around the world defending borders, but actually to defend our own borders.
An internal government memo reportedly says the troops will bolster Border Patrol agents. 7 Texas police officers are hurt, shot while attempting to contact a barricaded suicidal suspect in San Antonio. Police Chief William McManus.
Officers were called to the scene for a suicide in progress. The first officer who arrived was shot, and 6 others subsequent to that were shot as well.
McManus says the officers, while responding, were shot. The suspect later found dead. President Trump suggesting there might be changes coming to FEMA.
I love Oklahoma, but you know what? If they get hit with a tornado or something, let Oklahoma fix it. You don't need, and then the federal government can help them out with the money.
In an interview on Fox News last night, Trump claiming FEMA does much to complicate things and hasn't done its job in the last 4 years. South Carolina digging out from a rare snowstorm. Myrtle Beach this morning. Myrtle Beach experiencing dangerous driving conditions and about 4 inches of snow. Closing arguments underway in Michael Madigan's landmark corruption trial at the Dirksen Federal Building. We'll hear from AM 560's Jim Talamonte in our next half hour. A large number of aldermen condemning an art installation at the Chicago Cultural Center as anti-Semitic, a majority signing a letter demanding Mayor Brandon Johnson take down the public exhibit. Planned Parenthood of Illinois closing 4 clinics in the state, including health centers in Ottawa, Decatur, Bloomington, and in the Englewood neighborhood. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker reported for jury duty on Wednesday at 26th and Cal.
I got called for jury service today, and I'm proud to be here. So many people, hundreds really, show up every day to do their duty.
Pritzker taking to social media, thanking everyone who did show up. The governor was not selected and dismissed in the afternoon. Chicago sports. Northwestern a strong second half in a big win over Indiana at Welsh Ryan last night, 79-70. Other college hoops action, Loyola beat Fordham, UIC a win over Evansville, and Valparaiso fell to Drake. The Bulls visit Golden State tonight, and Ben Johnson meeting the media as Bears head coach says, yes, the offense will run through Caleb Williams.
This offense will be calibrated with him in mind. We're going to build this thing. This is not simply a dropping of a previous playbook down on the table and starting there. Nope. We're ripping this thing down to the studs, and we're going to build it up with him first and foremost, and then with the pieces around him next.
The news service of Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago and save 35%. Hurry, offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says Trump had a busy first day.
42 executive orders, memoranda, proclamations, 115 personnel actions, over 200 executive actions, over 60 minutes of press questions and answers, and 3 historic speeches. And that was a half a day. This man is a machine.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
So how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Gonna be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration? Like mediation?
Sort of, but better. We'll have a firm decision.
Oh, that's easier. Who's your arbitrator?
Bert Hochberg.
That attorney at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck?
Yeah, senior partner. Comes highly recommended.
Are you facing divorce or a family law issue? Burton S. Hochberg offers arbitration services, a dispute resolution process that will save you time, money, and the complexity of litigation. Let Burton hear and resolve your claims with choices that best suit you and yours. To discuss, call Bert directly. Or even better, have your attorney call Bert at 773-255-6150. That's 773-255-6150. Again, 773-255-6150. No one knows arbitration like Bert Hochberg. Why go through a difficult divorce? Call Bert at Schiller, DuCanto, and Fleck, Chicago's preeminent family law firm since 1981.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
When I hear realtors boast about servicing a 3-county area or selling a home every 15 minutes, I think, what level of service could their clients possibly be getting? This is Chris Jacobs with Century 21 affiliated in Inverness, and my message is a little bit different. If being a realtor for more than 20 years has taught me one thing, it's that all real estate is local. While I can't say I'm the #1 realtor in the country, I can tell you that over the past 10 years, I've sold more homes in Inverness than anyone else. My team specializes in Inverness, Palatine, and Arlington Heights. We pride ourselves on providing our clients exceptional customer service and local market knowledge. So if you're selling your home or looking to purchase a property in our area, then call me, Chris Jacobs, at 847-401-4859. That's 847-401-4859. Or visit us at chrisjacobshomes.com.
Each office independently owned and operated, an equal housing opportunity.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
640. Let's get an update on the snowy roads this morning in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. In this update, a service of Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance just by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. Check with Allstate first for a quote today. You are in good hands with Allstate. Kennedy inbound 24, O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. The Ike, our first look shows about 35 minutes, 390 into the old post office. And delays on the Tri-State. Got a spin out on the left shoulder. Tri-State southbound just after Wadsworth Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Flurries this early morning. Cold. Clouds will break later in the day and a high near 20. Clear and very cold overnight, a low of 3. Light snow and 24. Your next news update is at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So yesterday the House again passed an amended version. Well, it had passed a version. Now it passed an amended version of the Laken-Riley Act.
Good.
46 Democrats joined Republicans in voting in favor of the bill, breaking with their party's Marxist leadership. 46 in the House, Democrat Socialists. 12 in the Senate, Democrat Socialists supported the Laken-Riley Act. But that's not where the center of gravity is in the party, clearly, based on just the numbers. But in addition to that, based on the histrionics you got from those who do occupy the center of gravity in the party, and I'm talking about the Socialist Spice Girls. Here's what MFer Spice, Rashida Tlaib, had to say with respect to the Laken-Riley Act.
Enough is enough. It will separate families. It would lead again to continued discrimination. It's shameful that my colleagues are giving into racist fear-mongering at the first opportunity to pass legislation to scapegoat our immigrant neighbors and fuel hate in our communities. I know what's going to happen. It won't just be undocumented. It'll be people like my mother who will get stopped and profiled. She has to carry her U.S. passport around? Are we asking people allowed to have documentation? That's what you want to turn our neighborhoods into, is militarization?
I yield the gentlelady an additional 30 seconds.
The gentlelady is recognized.
I just ask all of you to truly understand what this will do to our communities. I urge our colleagues to please vote no on this divisive bill. And it's so important to understand what you're going to turn our communities and our neighborhoods into. We can't allow that to continue to happen. With that, I yield.
Sounds bad. So you may be asking, well, what does the Laken-Riley Act do, Dan? I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that.
Requires ICE to detain people in this country illegally for theft-related crimes, and also includes amendments from Texas Senator John Cornyn and Iowa Senator Joni Ernst that expands the scope of offenses that trigger detention. So you're in this country illegally. You're arrested for a theft-related crime, and it requires ICE to detain you. No catch and release.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Does that mean Rashida Tlaib's mother is a shoplifter?
I don't know. I don't know Rashida Tlaib's mother. I hope not. But no, we see what's going to happen then is that people are just going to randomly pick out people that they don't like because of the color of their skin or the way they wear their hair. You know, they're going to profile Rashida Tlaib's mom and anybody else who doesn't look like them because we live in a white supremacist country and you got all these honkies running around, particularly MAGA honkies, who are racists, who are looking to imprison anybody that doesn't look like them just for the crime of not looking like them. That's the argument that's being made. And it's going to turn neighborhoods, scenic, tranquil neighborhoods like AOC's Bronx neighborhood into a prison camp. Here is the aforesaid AOC.
After they are unleashing people who attacked police officers here on this Capitol into roaming our streets, who are publicly saying now they want to get a gun, suddenly these folks care about public safety? I don't think so. Look no further than the price tag of this bill, $83 billion. They know that it can't be paid for. They know that the capacity is not there. And you know what will be there? Private prison companies are going to get flooded with money, who give this money, no doubt. I want folks at home to look. Look at what members of Congress are invested in private prison companies who receive this kind of money, and look at the votes on this bill. It is atrocious that people are lining their pockets with private prison profits in the name of a horrific tragedy and the victim of a crime. It is shameful. It is absolutely shameful. And Mr. Speaker, I'll conclude with this. In a few months, there are members of Congress who voted for this bill who are going to pretend they didn't know about all the bad things that are going to happen because of it. So when a private prison camp opens in your town, when a dreamer...
Time has expired. I yield the gentlelady an additional 30 seconds.
So when a private prison camp opens in your town and they say, we didn't know this was going to happen, know that they did, and they voted for it.
312-642-5600 turnkey.pro answer line to support the Laken Riley Act to detain people in this country illegally accused of committing crimes is to open up the prospect of prison camps in your backyard.
Private prison camps, Dan.
Private prison camps so that members of Congress, unnamed members of Congress, can line their pockets. And it's also to release the MAGA barbarian hordes to racially profile people and sick law enforcement on them for no legitimate reason. That's what's going to happen. Persuaded?
No. And I just think about, the Democrats didn't learn anything from this election. 158 Democrats in the House voted not to deport illegals convicted of crimes, sexual assaults of minors. It's not just shoplifting. It's more serious crimes. Do they want Laken Riley's murderer not to be deported ever?
Oh, no, they won't say that. They just have to raise the specter of, the villainous Trump regime, that this is all rooted in racism and othering and xenophobia and so forth.
It's going to lead into racial profiling.
Yeah, there has to be a villain in the story, and of course it can't be the people that have actually preyed on other people. It's got to be a villain that serves their immediate political needs, and that means Trump. And where do identitarians go but to the identitarian well when it comes to legislation like this that is so sensible and straightforward on its face that you have to bastardize it into something it isn't and no one wants it to be. Yeah, so we're not going to do catch and release, and that's a big problem for the Socialist Spice Girls and the supermajority of the Democrat Socialist Party, including, by the way, the Democrat members of the Illinois congressional delegation, just so you know. It's interesting, too, where catch and release is okay and where it's not. Just thinking about this, because the preventable crime, as we have talked about for many moons and many times over, preventable crime, both domestic and imported. I'm interested in preventing crime of that fall into both categories, and we talk a lot about that. So let's just talk about the domestic side for a minute in Chicago, since we're ground zero for a catch and release of indigenous criminals. Judge declines to hold felon linked to shooting death of pregnant Portage Park mom.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday.
Dude arrested after the fatal shooting of this Portage Park mom, charged with unlawful use of a weapon by a felon, released.
And then people are complaining about J6ers. And this guy gets released and he murdered two people, essentially.
Paroled 8-time felon murdered man who argued with woman at grocery store, according to prosecutors. An 8-time convicted felon on parole for gun possession. Oh, he was paroled for that. 8-time convicted felon possessing a gun. We're focused on preventing gun crime. Oh, paroled for gun possession. 8-time convicted felon. He served his time. Okay. Arguing with, saw a 36-year-old arguing with a woman. The woman called this dude over during the argument. He drove to the store and he shot and killed a guy. And then fled with the woman. Mm-hmm.
Back to the Portage Park man, though. She was. Sorry.
No, not back to him. He was detained. Then he was detained on a charge of first-degree murder. Now, compare that to what happened in this case. A Chicago man charged with threatening judge in court. As soon as she gets off that bench, I'll shoot that bitch, is what he said. He has been detained. Oh, I see. So, and I'm glad he was detained, by the way. But I see. So if you threaten a judge, then you're removed from society. If you prey on just your ordinary, average, law-abiding citizen in Portage Park, or this 8-time loser who shot on parole for gun possession, who shot and killed a guy in cold blood, we'll wait till the body count piles up before we do anything too hasty. That is the attitude of the left, of the catch and release left. We protect ourselves, sure. You, not so much.
I just want to correct myself. I misspoke. The 35-year-old mom, or the pregnant woman, she's dead, but the 6-month-old baby is still fighting for its life.
Tom in Blue Island.
Morning, Dan and Amy. So, Dan, is that not the definition of what Solzhenitsyn wrote in Gulag Archipelago? If you are a political prisoner, you were the worst of the worst, and if you were an actual criminal, a thief or a murderer, you ran the Gulag. And I don't know if AOC's right or some Gulag, but, if she's thinking there's going to be prison camps all over the United States, it's just how it was back in the day in Russia.
Yes, don't veer from the orthodoxy. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan. So what you're telling us is we're not going to be stopped on the street and asked, where are your papers?
Yes. A wonderful Stasi impersonation. Thanks for the call, George. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Gentlemen, it's a new year and time to keep that promise of getting your testosterone levels checked. Don't put it off. Get tested in January. If you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone, so don't wait. Find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each patient. Their personal treatment plans are optimized for each patient. These aren't just basic standard treatments. For current patients, Low T offers you a $150 referral credit for each new patient you refer. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Visit lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. At his inauguration on Monday, Donald Trump pledged to create the next golden age for America. In a hard-hitting speech in front of some of his fiercest opponents, Trump declared that the nation had taken a wrong turn over the last few years and pledged to restore America's strength and standing in the world. Any effort to restore American strength and standing must be rooted in reality, and Trump warned that he intended to restore reality immediately. In his speech, Trump vowed an end to social engineering and government and the military, and declared that it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. This fulfills the promise to restore sanity to the federal government. It means the end of government compulsion that forces people to participate in the delusions of others. And more importantly, it stops the pressure on children to maim themselves for the virtue-signaling benefit of the adults around them. The era of make-believe is over. The adults are back in charge.
I have a friend doing it. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And what she's doing is going to get a free consultation at QC Kinetics. She's had chronic shoulder pain for years. Doesn't want surgery, doesn't want to take drugs anymore, doesn't want to mask the pain. She wants to take care of it. And you can revitalize your joints with advanced orthobiologic treatments at QC Kinetics. No steroids, no drugs, no surgery. So if you have pain in your hips, back, shoulders, elbows due to arthritis or an injury, check out QC Kinetics before you go under that knife. Really, you can save yourself a lot of recovery time, and sometimes surgery just does not work. Folks, this is the future of medicine, using an array of natural solutions like PRP to attack the pain from arthritis or pain from an injury. And so many of our neighbors have discovered these cellular treatments and are living life again pain-free. If you want to learn more about how you can refresh your joints, get lasting relief with these amazing treatments, call QC Kinetics for that free consultation. They have appointments on Saturdays and offices all over the Chicagoland area. Here's the number to call, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955, 312-809-5955.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013, 800-444-2013, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-2013.
If you've saved $1 million or more for retirement, you're in an elite group and should have an investment strategy to match. VestGen Wealth Partners has a team dedicated to helping build on the success that you've already created. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com.
Advisory services offered through VestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and VestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. VestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, did you see this story? I love this. The staff at on an Aussie cruise ship line.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was. If you can help me out there, because that's a very strange visual.
They were, I guess, participating in like a Christmas-themed dress-up deal, Christmas themed event on the Pacific Explorer voyage from Melbourne to Hobart last month, or in December, Christmas. And the staff dressed up like upside down snow cones.
And it looked like
Ralph Northam was having a cabinet meeting. They look like,
and they're parading on top of the promenade deck, and people are enjoying their cocktails by the pool, and here they come marching through.
The bunch of grand wizards going to play shuffleboard is what it looked like. But anyway, the KKK is not as widely known. The Aussies don't obsess about it the way MSNBC does here. So it was an innocent mistake, but it's just, somebody, maybe you want to ask somebody before you decide on the Christmas costumes, I should say. But it's just kind of
run that by someone before you parade out there.
Yeah.
In your whiteys.
Yeah.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, the eunuchs at Pod Save America, those Obama staffers, actually have a point about Trump. 7:07.
But Now, today we're going to have flurries this morning, a high of 20 degrees. It is now 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Defending his pardons, questioning the ones by his predecessor. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump tells Fox's Hannity the pardons and commutations he gave about 1,500 January 6 defendants convicted over the Capitol riot were deserved.
They were treated like the worst criminals in history. And you know what they were there for? They were protesting the vote because they knew the election was rigged.
Now, Democrats and some police officers wounded during the riot are critical of the January 6 clemency. President Trump also critical of the preemptive pardons President Biden gave his brothers and sister and other family members before leaving office, telling Fox people thought he might do that 4 years ago.
They said, sir, would you like to pardon everybody, including yourself? I said, I'm not going to pardon anybody. We didn't do anything wrong.
Now, Congress has investigated Biden family overseas business dealings. The president also told Fox he's planning to battle Democrats in sanctuary cities and planning to resist his plan for mass deportation of illegal immigrants.
This was a gross miscarriage of common sense to allow people to come in.
Now, another Trump priority, ending work from home for federal workers. And Fox's Brooke Singman reports.
The U.S. Office of Personnel Management last night issued a memo writing the only way to get employees back to the office is to adopt a centralized policy requiring return to work. Agencies must now revise their telework policy and tell workers of a return to in-person work by 5 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Some exceptions there include disability and qualifying medical conditions.
President Trump also tells Fox he wants to reform FEMA, so states handle disaster response with federal financial aid.
If they have a tornado someplace and if they let that state, Oklahoma is very competent. I love Oklahoma.
Tomorrow, President Trump will go to areas of North Carolina devastated last year by hurricane flooding and then travel to the Los Angeles area where 2 new wildfires burned after others torched thousands of homes and buildings. America's listening to Fox News.
24 degrees, snow showers, and cloudy skies at 7:02. I want to pass along very quickly a traffic update for folks who travel the Indiana Toll Road. Indiana Toll Road drivers eastbound has just been shut down between US 20, that's East Chicago, and the Klein Avenue exit, that's near the Gary Airport. Multiple accidents, very slick conditions, and we'll have an update on traffic on that developing story in just a moment. Closing arguments continue in the Michael Madigan landmark corruption trial today. Here's AM 560's Jim Talamonte with a recap.
U.S. Government Attorney Julia Schwartz opened by saying Madigan and McClain conspired to preserve Madigan's power and line his pockets, adding that Madigan abused his public office. Former Assistant U.S. Attorney Patrick Collins said prosecutors tend to downplay their own personalities.
You're there as a government to just show that the defendant is guilty, not because we have some, the prosecutor has some animus about the individual, but it's because of the weight of the evidence.
Earlier Wednesday, Judge John Robert Blakey spent about 2 hours reading instructions to the jury. Closing arguments are scheduled to resume Thursday at the Dirksen Federal Building. In Chicago, I'm Jim Talamonte.
Stellantis is reopening the assembly plant in Belvidere. The Chrysler Dodge automaker is investing about $1.2 billion in the plant. The mid-size truck it will build should roll off in 2027. About 1,500 jobs are being restored. A Brookfield boy is dead following a shooting earlier this week in southern Wisconsin. Police say 8-year-old Michael Maher was shot Monday in the town of Geneva by his stepfather, Stephen Merkel. Merkel has been charged with first-degree reckless homicide. In his Wisconsin State of the State address yesterday, Governor Tony Evers demanded a 48-hour waiting period and more restrictions on gun ownership.
We can do better than doing nothing. This legislature must do better than doing nothing.
Maher attended the Brook Park Elementary School in LaGrange. Park counselors are on hand today. Northwestern, a strong second half in a win over Indiana in the Big Ten, 79-70. The Cats visit number 17 Illinois Sunday. The Fighting Illini look to get back in the win column when they host Maryland tonight. The Blackhawks getting ready for their game against Tampa Bay at the UC tomorrow night. The Bulls visit Golden State tonight. The news service, A Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule, Order online at balanceofnature.com. Coupon code Chicago to save 35% as a preferred customer. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's a new year, and any day now, you'll see that credit card bill for all the Christmas shopping you did. It sure would be nice to start the new year with some new cash, wouldn't it? Well, AM 560 wants to make that happen by giving you the chance to win $2,025 to start 2025. Enter for your chance to win at 560theanswer.com/cash. That's 560theanswer.com/cash.
Family life is a crazy adventure filled with love and laughter, but it can also be demanding with work schedules, after-school activities, and trying to remember where you put your keys. It leaves you wondering, where does the time go? With so much going on, it can be easy to lose sight of your family's well-being. Balance of Nature fruits and veggies supplements offer an easy way to get a wide variety of whole food ingredients for your whole family. Don't let a busy schedule get in the way of your family's well-being. Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Terry's Tiny Homes, Terry! Sure, as the only employee of her company, Terry was probably the front runner, but saving money getting personalized discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive, well, that gave Terry the edge. Over Terry. Terry! Keep awkwardly chanting your own name, Terry. You deserve it. Woo! Be your own Terry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
You said bye-bye to big government. Now it's time to trim the fat from big wireless. Pure Talk gives you the exact same service. They use the same cell towers, the same 5G network. You get better customer service, and you pay half the price for the exact same thing. Get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot for just $35 a month. Make the switch. You simply dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
So how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Gonna be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration? Like mediation?
Sort of, but better. We'll have a firm decision.
Oh, that's easier. Who's your arbitrator?
Bert Hochberg.
That attorney at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck?
Yeah, senior partner. Comes highly recommended.
Are you facing divorce or a family law issue? Burton S. Hochberg offers arbitration services, a dispute resolution process that will save you time, money, and the complexity of litigation. Let Burton hear and resolve your claims with choices that best suit you and yours. To discuss, call Bert directly. Or even better, have your attorney call Bert at 773-255-6150. That's 773-255-6150. Again, 773-255-6150.
No one knows arbitration like Bert Hochberg. Why go through a difficult divorce? Call Bert at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck, Chicago's preeminent family law firm since 1981.
7:08. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center on this snowy morning. Drivers on the Indiana Toll Road, we've just received word from the Toll Authority and from Indiana State Police. Accident has been cleared. Eastbounders, the road is back open between East Chicago and the Klein Avenue exit near the Gary Airport. But again, conditions are still very slick along that portion of the Indiana Toll Road. I-65 Northwest Indiana, bad accident, 2 right lanes blocked. Northbound on 65 at State Road 2. The Adams westbound I-90 got an accident with a left lane blocked after the Elgin toll. You've got a jackknife semi on the Adams eastbound just after Town Hall Road. Tri-State spin-out accident southbound after Wadsworth. And you have an accident on the Tri-State 294 as you travel northbound between the Stevenson and 47th. Right now, a left lane is blocked. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. with Steve Williams.
A few flurries in the area early this morning. Otherwise, clouds will give way to some sun. Breezy, very cold day. High today 20. Clear and cold tonight with a low at 3. And then partly sunny, cold day tomorrow. The high at 23. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Light snow and 24 at O'Hare, 26 at Midway, 24 in Aurora, and 24 Lakefront. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. These former Obama staffers, a bunch of eunuchs that now operate this Pod Save America podcast that Gavin Newsom likes so much. They were on Morning Joe with Mika.
Yeah, I saw them. They're making
They actually had a good point. Pains me to say it, but they're right about this. It's an important point they make about Trump and why Trump is effective at driving the terms of discussion and debate on the range of issues. Take a listen.
Through all of this, you know what, that is happening, where and to that voter that I told you guys about, who likes Trump but is going to probably not benefit at all from his policies.
I think the hardest part of getting to that voter is not what we say, but reaching that voter.
Yeah.
I think part of it is volume. If you look at Donald Trump's inaugural day, he did 3 inauguration speeches. The real one, the overflow, the rally at night, then a press conference, right? It was a
reality show.
Game. Yeah. And when you are playing a volume game, you need rep after rep after rep to make sure it gets clipped on TikTok.
Yeah.
It gets shared on X. And the algorithms are killing us right now. Like Elon Musk is skewing everything towards the Republican Party, so we need to try even harder.
It's not Elon Musk, and it's not algorithms. I mean, that's one social media platform. But it is volume. It is being a relentless communicator. How many years on these airwaves and others have I been saying this about the Republican Party, about center-right? You have to be a relentless communicator 24/7, the way that the left generally does, and they have all of these outlets and platforms and institutions that facilitate that in a way that the right doesn't, although that gap is closing. But that is part of the political genius of Trump. He understands the idea of a story arc. And in the left story arc, he is the villain. In his story arc, he is the Dark Knight. That's the plot twist. No, he is, Dark MAGA, the Dark Knight, not the hero you want, but the hero you need. And that twist has been made, acknowledged, by a majority of the country now. They initially fell for him, like the residents of Gotham did, as the bad guy. And now they realize that the guys saying he was the bad guy are the bad guys. A majority, not everybody. But he relentlessly communicates. As Steve Ducey said this the other day, too, it's like, he was, as we're in the Oval Office, as he's going through signing these executive orders, and he was freewheeling. He's open to talk about anything. Compare that to Biden, where they were always rushing us in and rushing us out as fast as they can. Right. If you don't make arguments, or in Biden's case, have the capacity to make arguments, it's very difficult to lead a movement, to drive a policy outcome. And Trump, for whatever his discipline challenges are when it comes to messaging, is a relentless communicator. And he recognizes that's what the left wants him to do, and he's fine with that. He's going to lean into it because the net is, well, the greatest political comeback story in American political history. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. But instead of just describing that and applauding it, if you're in Chicagoland or Illinois, maybe someone or some ones would like to try to emulate that. Is there nothing that anybody with a title in the Republican Party has to say? I mean, I know this is a recurring lament, but really, now that you have Trump driving the policy, well, first of all, I mean, it should have been easy to at least express opposition to the Biden, Pritzker, BLM, Brandon agenda. Couldn't manage that. Now you've got policy making from a common sense conservative perspective, where I see missives about like celebrating the inauguration and Trump takes office and so on and so forth. Would you like to localize what's happening at the federal level and participate in the policies that you say you support in a meaningful way? Where is that? Someone tell me. Again, other than this show and Wire Points and Jeannie Ives' program and Sean, other than that, you do have elected officials running around. You have, I'm sure you have people aspiring to run for federal and state offices, in addition to those few that occupy federal and state offices in Illinois. I mean, honestly, a year and a half ago, I actually penned a resolution that I threw out there. You know, some local Republican officials at the municipal levels, take it, run with it, pass a resolution saying we oppose sanctuary state designation. Put a marker down. We're going to cooperate with ICE when ICE comes to town to remove people in this country legally who are posing public safety threats, which is actually happening now. And still nothing about sanctuary state, sanctuary city policies? Still, there's who is saying let's, throw in with Tom Homan and our federal law enforcement friends? It's outrageous that we have a stand-down order for local law enforcement to work with federal law enforcement when in any other context we would say that's a happy occurrence. We're maximizing our resources, our law enforcement resources. And nobody has anything to say about that?
What at the time, I can't remember. Why did Bronner make us a sanctuary state at the time? Do you remember what his argument was, or was there no? He just did it because his wife told him to.
Yeah, because he's a coward and he was afraid to be called a racist, and he he was a sentimentalist too. He wanted to separate himself from Trump. Yeah, genius. He was led down a primrose path by these same, combine types that have, again, done what the left can't do, which is destroy the Republican Party from within. But they're gone. So, I mean, the finger pointing. I'm not really pointing fingers, other than to say there are people in office. They have leadership titles only. I know they haven't demonstrated much of a leadership aptitude, but I mean, where is the pressure from these so-called local Republican organizations? They exist on paper. I see emails. They have events. What do you do in these rooms? I don't know. I don't go anymore because, why waste your time? You just sit around and say, oh, that was awesome what Trump said at that event or on that show. Oh, did you see that guy on that show really gave that CNN person a talking to? And what does that have to do with your quality of life in Illinois? I mean, does anybody have a sense that there is any fight out there for here, Chicagoland, Illinois? It's a question. I'd love an answer. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Greg in Schaumburg.
Hey, Dan and Amy. Boy, Dan, I'm really glad you brought this up because I've been thinking about it. If there's a couple suggestions I would make to Trump at this point, it would be the first one would be when he posts on True Social or X or wherever, just don't do it in text, meaning just letters. Put a video in with it of him speaking directly to the public, kind of like such fireside chats from an earlier era. He's so much more effective, and it's so much more effective communication-wise when you hear that voice. Why do that? Is because when these videos start coming up of people being arrested, the left is going to really come after the what we have done, and so consequently the public opinion is going to skew, and therefore he needs to really combat that. Third idea, he needs to, on a quarterly basis, do almost like you would in a business, do a progress report on the initiatives that he has put forth for his administration and give us a status report. And last but not least, Dan and Amy, why don't you float this idea to Trump for Chicago? Do a podcast with him. Float it up to those guys and say, hey, look, how about an hour or half-hour podcast with the two of us interviewing you specifically as it relates to Chicago and the Midwest?
Okay, I have a question for you, Greg. I mean, those are all good recommendations. I like that. Is there anything that we have to do, or is this all on Trump?
No, that's the point. It's got to be done by us, but we've shown the ability to do that. Charlie Kirk, I think, has just really unleashed an untapped potential, but it's primarily for younger people. There are seniors and other people who are sitting there are just dying for leadership. And you're kind of like in that middle generation right now between college age and, us as seniors. And I think you're really prime for that. Plus the fact you've got the ability to intellectualize and be the common person as you do it, too.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Bob in Waukegan.
I'm almost afraid to ruin the vibe here. You guys are being super serious. But I think it's J.B. Pritzker's secret plan to actually get put in jail because his family probably can't afford Ozempic. So if Trump puts him in jail, that'll be the only way he'll be forced to lose weight because he doesn't have the discipline to do it himself.
Okay, Bob. John in Orland Park.
They have plenty of money.
Hey, Dan, there is some movement in the far southwest suburbs, Orland Township, Palos Township, Lamont, Mokina, Frankfurt. They actually got together on a crime between Tinley and Orland. It was held in Orland Park about 10 days ago. They had a full field of candidates. Most of them lost in the election. But for the municipals and all that, they have candidates for library, for park district, but for township. And there's actually a chance they're going to take over Orland Township. So there are people that said, yes, we are going to stand up. And there is a movement. They meet and they talk, and the local villages out there do plan to support the law enforcement.
Okay. All right. Thanks, John. Margot, Burr Ridge.
Well, what I want to say is that you cannot keep burning good people on false elections, which is what we've got going on here. And I think in this case, we do need help from the feds. We need to expunge all the voting rolls in Illinois, re-register everybody with help from maybe the National Guard from another state, to make sure that everything at least starts out fair. They're going to go right back to falsifying the elections, but it's going to take them time to build that up again. In that meantime, you can get good people elected. But I think good people say, why throw away their capital on elections they know they can't win because it is so bad here. And so that's all I say. Then people will rise up. I mean, we're starting to. I have a business and I have a whole bunch of people that come in and we look around before we start talking because we're so cowed by, the rest of them. And we kind of know who we are. We get together. I mean, it's amazing what people really think when they know they're safe to talk. Mm-hmm. But we need a little bit of that courage. We need a little bit of help from the feds. We truly do. This is a very, very sick state in the election area. And then once these Democrats, it's kind of funny, since the election, the ones that came in all boasty and all, because they're like so in your face and they don't know, because I have a public business, how I feel. I have to those people just be polite and, and just not agree with them, but just let them say their piece. So it's very interesting. Since the election, they're very quiet. And they're wondering who really accepts what they're saying. Because now they know there's more people then, I mean, they think that everybody agrees with them. Now they realize not everybody agrees with them, even though he didn't win Illinois, supposedly. So thanks for listening. I appreciate you letting me talk.
Thanks for the call, Margot. Joan and Wilmette.
Hey, Dan, you nailed it when you said that the Republican Party is destroying itself from within, especially the Illinois Republican Party. But, like, you know, this is with all due respect. I think you're fabulous. I listen to you every day. You're funny. You're intelligent. You have an amazing vocabulary. You're a leader.
And he's good looking.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't
Don't
forget
leave that
the
out.
aesthetics.
Yeah,
He
please.
was cuter
Sit
in his
tight.
40s. And he
Oh,
does
geez.
those
He's
low
in his 50s.
testosterone commercials. No, quickly. Anyway, you know what, bro? You left us. You're in Florida.
Well, he comes back. I mean,
Well-
It's not
to
the same,
visit.
man. I'm a soldier on the battlefield.
Well, we all are.
Dan Traft is in Florida.
Well, I mean, first of all, by the way, half of Margot and Burr Ridge's neighbors in Burr Ridge are down here with me.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's many different ways to participate, and you don't always have to be on terra firma to do so. But
That's
you know,
fair.
if there was, and I've said this before, if there was some evidence of some fight, people would come back, and even all the people down in Southwest Florida with me for 6 months and a day, they pay attention.
Oh, they're still listening. A lot of them listen to us on the app, and we want to say thank you.
Yeah, they don't want Chicago and Illinois to be what it is, but there is no organizing force that they can discern that they can get behind. And, you know, and obviously I know a lot more than most of them being in this arena for so long, and I pay attention to, and it's difficult to identify pockets of resistance, if you will. And it's the simplest things. I mean, all this, you know, Trump and voter rolls and infrastructure. Yeah. All that's true. But where are people who are insulated from, you know, the retribution of the institutions that all prop up the BLM Brandons and the Jelly Bellies? Where are they saying anything? Where are elected Republican officials or appointed Republican officials in the party taking positions on issues, organizing resolution drives to put local officials on the spot with respect to sanctuary state designation, for just to use one example? Where are they participating in the municipal elections, like the guy from Orland Park just said, coming up this spring? I mean, there's all this attitude that has permeated Republican ranks for so long, which is this waiting for Godot. We're waiting for the next billionaire with a big checkbook. We're waiting for someone to come in and do all the heavy lifting for us. It's on Trump. It's on somebody else. It's never on me to do something in my neighborhood, in my community, which I live. It's never on me to hold the party to which I affiliate accountable, my legislators, my candidates for local office, my candidates for state and federal office. You know, it's an organization that doesn't inspire much interest because it doesn't present like much of an organization that anybody who has talent and knows knows sort of the ingredients of a successful organization sees when they look at the Illinois Republican Party, writ large or locally.
Okay, fair enough. If we have an event in the summer, will you attend?
He's here most of the summer.
I'm speaking at the LaSalle County.
Amy.
I'm speaking at the LaSalle County GOP dinner, like the end of March.
Okay.
You know, but thanks for the call, Joan. I appreciate it, and I know what you do up in New Trier, and I appreciate that too. But you know, most people don't want to hear this. Most of these Republicans now don't want to hear this message because I mean, what do they say in response to it? They say nothing, because what is there to say? What is the evidentiary case they can bring? So instead, they just, say, Proft is critical or this or that, or, you don't understand. You're right. I don't understand the Illinois political arena. I don't understand what somebody who's been a state legislator for 5 minutes thinks they understand. Right. I don't get it. It's a joke. They're a joke. But I'm the only one willing to call things how they are. Not the only one, but one of the few. Within Republican ranks, who is willing to do that? A few legislators from Southern Illinois? That's not enough. We're supposed to be the reality party, but the Illinois Republican Party refuses to confront reality, or much less deal with it. Jordan in Antioch.
Morning, Dan. Morning, Damien. Yeah, like I said to the screener, I do not understand, for the life of me, I can't understand why we don't hear more in the media from the elected representatives, especially downstate, right? When the Safety Act went through and all this other stuff went through and the anti-gun stuff went through, we had 100 and some different county attorneys come out and say we will defy, and we have how many districts down in our counties down in along the eastern border there that want to go to Indiana, and they're trying to get legislation. We have all these things, right? And then you're just handed a win in the federal arena, and Illinois went the largest slide towards Trump ever since we've been voting for, in that case. And you're given this mandate. You're given basically the keys with a truck with a full tank of gas, and I don't hear one single guy out there like you guys or like the fellow from Wirepoint or anybody other than this station and then John Cass, obviously, and a couple outlets. But why do I not hear the reps from all these downstate? You're insulated. You're safe. You're not going anywhere. Everybody that voted for Trump is you. You are the same people that are voting for you. You're safe. Why are you not on the news somewhere in a large media organization, even federally, just to get out and say the guy in Springfield is lying? We're broke. This is where the money's going. This is it's got to be pure cowardice, right? That's all I can think of. It's just pure cowardice.
Thanks for the call, Jordan. There's a couple things. One, it's cowardice. Two, it's to protect my little fiefdom, keep my head down. Three, it's complicity with the other side. It's all sorts of unacceptable reasons. But you don't need media organizations. I mean, media organizations, these like a big media organization. What's a big media organization? Somebody's Twitter account, X account. I mean, the Sun-Times just announced more layoffs. The NPR Times, state-run media. Taxpayers can't even save the NPR Times. No. The Tribune is a pamphlet. Nobody watches the network affiliate newscast under the age of 70. I mean, you don't need access to media. You need a point, and you just distribute it. You need to take positions. You need to make the arguments. You need to push the envelopes, as it were, locally, statewide. I mean, you have all of these outlets, your social media accounts, to drive discussion. There are no gatekeepers, which makes it even that much more frustrating. It's just you have a bunch of people that have nothing to say for a variety of unacceptable reasons. All right, coming up at 7:37, we turn our attention to something that Trump said that I thought was almost
with Hannity last night.
Yeah, a little glint in his eye about the one pardon that the big guy didn't make. We'll talk to Mike Davis, Article 3 Project, about that. 7:37.
But first, let's head into that newsroom once again. Here's Mike Scott.
7:33. 7 San Antonio, Texas police officers injured. Shot while attempting to come in contact with a barricaded suicidal suspect last night. Police Chief William McManus.
The folks who were able to be evacuated were evacuated. The others who were not able to be evacuated safely were not.
The first 4 were shot. Police officers, as they approached that unit, they have non-life-threatening injuries. President Trump expected to address the World Economic Forum remotely today, the annual event being held in Davos, Switzerland. Meantime, the president is defending the almost 1,500 pardons given to defendants, all charged in connection to the January 6th rioting.
They were in there for 3.5 years, a long time, and in many solitary confinement, treated like nobody's ever been treated so badly. They were treated like the worst criminals in history. And you know what they were there for? They were protesting the vote. because they knew the election was rigged and they were protesting the vote.
The House in Washington last night passed the Laken-Riley Act.
This vote, the yeas are 263 and the nays are 156. The bill passed. And without objection, the motion to reconsider laid on the table.
Legislation passed Wednesday aiming to clamp down on illegal immigrants who commit crimes. An historic winter storm that brought record-breaking snowfall to Florida, moving toward the Carolinas. 2 teens are dead after a shooting at a Nashville high school Wednesday morning. Police Chief John Drake.
There is another male, 17-year-old young man that was wounded with a graze wound, and he has been treated at Vanderbilt and released.
The 17-year-old male student shot and killed a 16-year-old girl at Antioch High School. The suspect also shot and wounded a 17-year-old boy before killing himself. Closing arguments continue today in the Michael Madigan landmark corruption trial at the Dirksen Federal Building. A worker at the Barack Obama Presidential Center rescued after tumbling at least 18 stories down a zigzag ventilation duct. He was conscious and alert when rescued by Chicago Fire and was rushed to nearby University of Chicago Medical Center. Freezing temperatures have wreaked havoc on Chicagoland, creating a domino effect of burst pipes and water main breaks. Highland Park, a burst pipe in a parking garage, caused a mess Wednesday. Major water main break on 55th Avenue near 18th and Cicero, and an 8-inch water main break had to be repaired by Chicago crews on the near west side. Northwestern, a strong Big Ten basketball win over Indiana at Welsh Ryan last night, 79-70. Loyola also beat Fordham last night. UIC took down Evansville. Number 17 Fighting Illini look to get back in that win column when they host Maryland at State Farm Center, and professionally, the Bulls visit Golden State. The news, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows, limited commercials, 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Hugh Hewitt has already witnessed the media going after Trump again.
To the January 6th pardon. I have had it, absolutely had it, with the legacy media's corrupt reporting of everything to do with Donald Trump. And they're putting this to the top of page 1. After Joe Biden pardoned 5 members of his own family, get over it. It's done. Let's move forward.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Family life is a crazy adventure filled with love and laughter, but it can also be demanding with work schedules, after-school activities, and trying to remember where you put your keys. It leaves you wondering, where does the time go? With so much going on, it can be easy to lose sight of your family's well-being. Balance of Nature fruits and veggies supplements offer an easy way to get a wide variety of whole food ingredients for your whole family. Don't let a busy schedule get in the way of your family's well-being.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
After 30 years of doing knee and hip replacements, Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup thought there had to be a better way, and that led him to regenerative medicine.
I was one of the first orthopedic surgeons to do it.
Now, after 20 years of successful orthobiologic treatments, lots of clinical data, research, and teaching, Dr. Scheinkup is National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
They've done an amazing job of becoming the most significant orthobiologic and regenerative medicine practice in the United States. QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
So if you have chronic pain from arthritis and you want to avoid drugs and surgery, call the experts in this revolutionary field, QC Kinetics.
To give patients real lasting relief from pain, that's what I live for. That's my mission.
Get your free consultation now. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or CVS.
7:40 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Snowy roads causing big delays will start on DuSable Lakeshore Drive. As you travel northbound between Bryn Mawr and Hollywood, slick conditions. Tri-State northbound due to an earlier accident. Big delays between LaGrange Road and 47. Disabled vehicle on the exit ramp as well. Northbound on the Tri-State at Deerfield Road. Jane Addams accident left shoulder on the I-90 westbound toll road just after the Elgin toll. I want to highlight the Dan Ryan for you. It's up to 40 minutes this morning, 95th into the circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Flurries this early morning. Cold later in the day with clouds breaking. High near 20. Expect clear conditions and a low of 3 above overnight. Light snow and 24 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Some interesting comments on presidential pardons yesterday. Starting with Speaker Mike Johnson talking about Biden's preemptive pardons, something that was anathema to our republic back when the left was predicting Trump would do it at the end of his first term. Didn't happen. Happened at the end of Biden's term. And, of course, they're church mice in response to it. Here's Speaker Johnson.
It was shocking. I mean, it was shocking what President Biden did on the way out, pardoning his family for more than a decade of whatever activity, any nonviolent offenses. It was breathtaking to us. I don't think that's anything like that's ever been anticipated. And by the way, go look at the tape. 4 years ago, when it was just implied that President Trump might do something similar, they were apoplectic. Joe Biden himself, Adam Schiff, Chuck Schumer. Roll the tape. They all said that would be crazy and unconscionable, and now they're cheering it along. To us, it is disgusting. To us, it probably proves the point, the suspicion that, they call it the Biden crime family. If they weren't the crime family, why do they need pardons, right? Look, there's a lot of attention that's going to be paid to this, and I think that is appropriate, and we will be looking at it as well. So, yeah.
I don't know what we will be looking at it exactly means. I'm not too sanguine about Speaker Johnson or House Republicans accomplishing much in this direction, but maybe I'm missing something. The more interesting comment on pardons, I thought, last night, came from the President, again, Trump himself, on with Sean Hannity, on the one preemptive pardon not made by the big guy.
I was given the option. They said, sir, would you like to pardon everybody, including yourself? I said, I'm not going to pardon anybody. We didn't do anything wrong. And we had people that suffered. They're incredible patriots. We had people that suffered. You had Bannon put in jail. You had Peter Navarro put in jail. You had people that suffered. And far worse than that, They've lost their fortunes. They've lost their whatever, their nest egg, paying it to lawyers. And those people, and people said, and they wouldn't have even taken, most of those people, they wouldn't have even taken a pardon. This guy went around giving everybody pardons. And the funny thing, maybe the sad thing, is he didn't give himself a pardon. And if you look at it, it all had to do with him.
Ooh. It did all have to do with him, didn't it? You can't have a Biden hillbilly crime family without the top hillbilly.
The big guy.
So this raises a specter again of looking at the one guy in that crime family, the head of it, ostensibly, who does have legal exposure, regardless of what the special counsel said about his capacity to stand trial. For more on this and other matters of legal import, please be joined again by Mike Davis. He's the founder and president of the Article 3 Project, former chief counsel for nominations to Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley as well. Mike, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, what about going where the facts lead? I mean, if Jim Comer referred James Biden for prosecution, with everything we know about the lies that Joe Biden told about the business dealings of brother and son, why should Joe Biden get a pass?
Well, he shouldn't. I mean, we have evidence in the form of bank records that House Oversight Chairman James Comer has subpoenaed and made public that over $20 million went from our worst enemies into what seems like every Biden family member's bank accounts, except for the 6-year-old granddaughter who they refused to claim and only began pretending to claim under political pressure. So what were these corrupt foreign oligarchs buying from the Biden? I know that the Trump family does real estate. They build hotels in foreign countries. I'm trying to figure out what the Bidens sell in these foreign countries other than access to the vice president, then Vice President Joe Biden, and maybe even President Joe Biden. Here's the bigger issue. Even separate from these pardons of his family members to protect himself, there is a national security implication here. Obviously, that they have to do a national security assessment. They have to do an intel assessment. And now that Joe Biden has pardoned his family members can no longer invoke the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. And so the Trump 47 intel agencies and Justice Department, along with the House and Senate intel committees and oversight committees, should call in the Biden family and have them explain what happened so we can do an intel assessment and we can figure out how our national security was compromised by these corrupt dealings by Joe Biden and his family.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked to some law professors and who I have great regard for, but they raise this idea of Robert Hur saying, I'm not going to pursue on the classified docs case because I don't think I could get a conviction. He's not fit to stand trial. So, well, there's that. Well, wait a second. If there is evidence of criminal wrongdoing, then if President Biden, through his legal counsel, were there to be a potential prosecution, wants to make the case that he's not fit to stand trial, well, he can make that case in a court of law, and a judge can decide. I mean, Robert Hur's pronouncement is not the end of the discussion on the topic. It shouldn't be.
No, it wasn't. It was just a dodge by Robert Hur, who I knew would do nothing, right? I knew that he would not pursue prosecution against Biden because Robert Hur is a Rod Rosenstein, Chris Wray guy, and so it doesn't surprise me. That's why Merrick Garland picked him, because they knew that Rob Hur wasn't going to do a damn thing. But I would say this is, even if there aren't going to be prosecutions here, you still have to do the national security assessment, the intel assessment, to see how our national security is compromised. It continues to be compromised, so we can fix this as a country.
And that would necessarily include a review of Mark Milley, one of the under-discussed people who got a preemptive pardon as well.
Yeah, Mark Milley, I wrote an opinion piece on this. I don't know how it's not treason what Mark Milley did, and I'll explain. That's a strong word. Mark Milley, as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for President Trump, told Milley's Chinese counterpart that Milley would give this Chinese counterpart a heads up before President Trump launched any surprise attack on China. Well, that gives America's enemy key, crucial, strategic and tactical intel, and it puts American lives in grave danger if China is ready for a surprise attack. So I don't know how that's not treason. Now, China's sitting back thinking, we're in good shape. We can push and be as aggressive as we want in Taiwan and elsewhere because Mark Milley's going to give us a heads up before Trump counters us and attacks. So it's amazing to me that he was able to get away with that, and then he got a pardon from Joe Biden after he did it because Mark Milley played his political role of undermining President Trump and helping Joe Biden.
Why don't you think Joe Biden pardoned himself?
Why didn't he pardon himself?
Why didn't he pardon? Yeah.
That's a good question. I think he knows that Republicans don't have the backbone to indict a Democrat president, even though the Democrats indicted a Republican president 4 times.
Right.
But even if, like, Joe Biden should be indicted, there's no question. He committed crimes. And these weren't crimes when he was the president of the United States, subject to a presidential immunity for his official acts. Like, for example, when Barack Obama ordered the drone strike on 2 American citizens, including a minor, which is capital murder if you don't have presidential immunity. But Joe Biden should have been charged for his corruption, right? He should have been charged for foreign bribery and corruption and many other crimes, but he wasn't. But at a minimum, the Justice Department, the intel agencies, the congressional committees need to do the intel assessment.
Fauci, another beneficiary of a preemptive pardon, and again, I would like more color from Speaker Johnson or somebody on dating Fauci's blanket pardon back to 2014, a la Hunter. I mean, you might as well go back to 1984 when he first assumed the helm of NIH at that juncture. But did you find that curious that it went all the way back to 2014?
Yeah, it is very curious because that's when the Biden, that you can really find the evidence of the Biden corruption, right? And so that's the date that they used for Hunter Biden and Joe's brother and sister and brother and sisters-in-law. But with Tony Fauci, this is the biggest crime against humanity I've ever seen. Tony Fauci funded COVID through NIH in the Wuhan lab illegally, gain-of-function research he illegally funded. He did it through subcontractors. He lied about it. Yeah. He covered it up. He obstructed justice. He perjured himself to Congress. This led to trillions of dollars in lost treasure, millions of dollars in lost lives, learning loss for children all over the world, especially poor black kids who are already at a great disadvantage, and years of human misery and suffering. And this guy is going to make millions of dollars off of this vaccine for this COVID that he created illegally, and he's going to be treated like a hero, and then he's going to get Joe Biden's pardon. Tony Fauci should be in prison for the rest of his life.
The case that you've made previously, which we've picked up on in this show too, that there should be an investigation into Bragg, Garland, Colangelo, Fani Willis, and her lover in terms of a federal conspiracy to deprive President Trump of his civil rights. Whether or not congressional Republicans have the intestinal fortitude to pursue or to call for such action, what's your perspective on Pam Bondi's disposition towards doing something like that?
I have not had this discussion with her, but I know that Pam Bondi is bold. She's fearless. She was the Attorney General for the state of Florida for 8 years. She's proven that she doesn't care about the political blowback. She's going to follow the law. So I would not be surprised at all if Pam Bondi opens a criminal probe under 18 U.S.C. Section 241, conspiracy against rights for this Democrat lawfare and election interference against President Trump, going all the way back to Crossfire Hurricane, the biggest scandal in American history, where you had these Democrat operatives, prosecutors, agents, judges, witness, other co-conspirators, politicizing and weaponizing intel agencies and law enforcement to go after political enemies. Trump, his top aides like Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro, who went to prison, Trump supporters on January 6th who were politically persecuted. Yes, persecuted, according to the Supreme Court's Fisher ruling last June. You have parents being targeted by the Biden FBI for expressing outrage about gender chaos in schools and the resulting rapes in their kids' high school bathrooms. You have Christians, including a 75-year-old Christian, being thrown in prison under the FACE Act for praying at abortion clinics, while the Biden Justice Department gave amnesty to the Biden family, Joe Biden himself, BLM, Antifa, Hamas supporters, Planned Parent activists, transgender terrorists who are going after Catholic churches. It's just Joe Biden and his Justice Department and his intel agencies have been so politicized and weaponized against political enemies, and there has to be accountability for this. There has to be a criminal probe. There have to be congressional probes. There must be severe legal, political, and financial consequences to this, so this never happens again.
Hey, real quick, Mike, did they ever meet that sixth grandchild that they, made an announcement in such a curt manner and so disrespectful of her? Did they ever meet her?
I don't know if they have, and for her sake, I hope that they have not, because Joe Biden has, if you look at Ashley Biden's diary, where she talked about Joe Biden taking inappropriate showers with her and Hunter Biden calling Joe Biden pedo Peter, I wouldn't want any kid to be meeting with Joe Biden.
On the J6 pardons, so Trump drew the line with 14 individuals whose sentences he commuted rather than granting them full pardon. In your view, should he have drawn another line between those who were convicted of crimes involving violence versus those who were not?
So we're talking about Joe Biden's pardons, where he he freed child rapists and murderers from death row, and then pardoned his family and pardoned two people, or he pardoned a guy who killed two FBI agents. So and then people are criticizing President Trump because he pardons his the January 6th defendants, largely pardoned them after the Supreme Court ruled in the Fisher decision in June that they were politically persecuted. They absolutely were. They had the full weight of the federal government thrown at them. They had their lives destroyed for 4 years. They were overcharged. They were kept in prison before their trials. They were held in solitary confinement. They were abused. These Trump supporters were absolutely persecuted, and they were treated differently from the much more deadly and destructive BLM and Antifa rioters who caused a hell of a lot more death and damage to our country. So Trump's January 6th supporters suffered enough. The deterrent effect was certainly in place, and so Trump absolutely should have pardoned them.
Mike Davis is the founder and president of the Article 3 Project, former chief counsel for nominations to Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley as well. Mike, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, we'll talk to Larry Dowling, retired pastor at St. Simon of Cyrene Catholic Parish in Chicago, about the Catholic Church in Chicago and people in this country illegally. 8:08, stay tuned.
But first, we have to stop by that newsroom once again. Here is Mike Scott.
Aldermen condemn a Chicago Cultural Center art piece as anti-Semitic. Stellantis and Chrysler and Dodge to reopen the Belvedere plant. Northwestern takes down Indiana in Big Ten college hoops. The Bears introduce their new head coach. And the Bulls visit the Warriors. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
The Trump immigration crackdown's underway. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. More U.S. troops are going to the southern border as federal agents start going after illegal immigrants.
The 1,500 soldiers and Marines deploying right now represent a 60% increase from the already 2,500 that are there, and it comes as ICE's enforcement and removal officers have been hitting the streets across the country, launching early morning raids targeting some 700,000 criminal illegal aliens that have been roaming free under the Biden-Harris administration, protected in sanctuary cities.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. President Trump's defending the pardons and commutations he gave those convicted in the 2021 Capitol riots, saying they were treated badly. He's also critical of the preemptive pardons President Biden gave family members when leaving office, telling Fox's Hannity.
The funny thing, maybe the sad thing, is he didn't give himself a pardon.
President Trump also tells Fox he wants to reform FEMA, wanting states to handle disaster response with federal financial aid. Tomorrow, he'll go to North Carolina, visiting an area ravaged by floods last year, and then go to the Los Angeles area, where a big new wildfire burns north of L.A. Fox's Jonathan Hunt's near the flames in Castaic.
As of now, firefighters do appear to have this huge fire under control and burning into non-residential areas.
In a few hours, President Trump will talk to world leaders gathered at an economic forum in Davos, Switzerland, in a virtual address after he talked to Saudi Arabia's ruler.
Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman believes Trump administration reforms could bring about what he calls unprecedented economic prosperity. He told President Trump in a phone call that he intends to invest $600 billion into the United States over the next 4 years.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. We just got all the Oscar nominations this morning. The film Amelia Perez, which won 4 Golden Globes, leads the way with 13 nominations, including the Best Picture Academy Award. We'll find out the winners March 2nd. America's listening to Fox News.
Light snow showers and 21 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Closing arguments continue today at the Dirksen Federal Building in Michael Madigan's landmark corruption trial. A worker at the Barack Obama Presidential Center was rescued Wednesday after falling 18 stories down a ventilation duct. He was rescued 45 minutes or so after falling, rushed to the nearby University of Chicago Medical Center. Large number of aldermen are condemning an art installation at the Chicago Cultural Center as anti-Semitic.
That we at the government should be promoted. It perpetuates a stereotype that we don't need to be perpetuating. We can't stop people from making private art, but on the other hand, this is something that is in a public space, taxpayer-funded space, and has no business being there.
A majority of the city council, like Alderman Bill Conway, signed a letter to Mayor Brandon Johnson calling on the city to take the art piece down. Planned Parenthood of Illinois closing 4 clinics in the state, Ottawa, Decatur, Bloomington, and in the Inglewood neighborhood here in Chicago. And a man wanted in an Urbana hit and run that took the lives of 2 suburban women is in custody. U.S. Marshals have captured Juan Sainz Suarez. Did so in Milford, Texas, while riding a bus to Mexico. Investigators identified him as the driver who injured 5 and killed Catherine Abraham of Glenview and Chloe Poulsen of Deerfield. Northwestern had a strong second half in a 79-70 win over Indiana at Welsh Ryan last night. The number 17 Fighting Illini hosts Maryland tonight and take on Northwestern coming up this weekend on Sunday. The news, a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
American Airlines shares are losing ground, down 7%. Its revenue rose to a record in the fourth quarter and for all of last year. However, Wall Street was expecting a more optimistic outlook. Aircraft engine company GE Aerospace is reporting a better-than-expected quarter. It expects sales to improve 10% this year, which matches Wall Street estimates, and GE Aerospace shares are rallying. Hyundai Motor says it is in talks with General Motors to supply commercial electric vehicles. The automaker signed a preliminary partnership deal with GM last year. Hyundai says it expects to suffer less impact from U.S. tariffs than Japanese rivals Toyota and Honda. Hyundai will be making hybrid vehicles at its new factory in Georgia. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's a new year, and any day now, you'll see that credit card bill for all the Christmas shopping you did. It sure would be nice to start the new year with some new cash, wouldn't it? Well, AM 560 wants to make that happen by giving you the chance to win $2,025 to start 2025. Enter for your chance to win at 560theanswer.com/cash. That's 560theanswer.com/cash.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Keene Jr. of the Mail House, Inc., a family-owned and operated digital print mail house with a specialty in political advertising and a customer of Signature Bank. We knew that getting a loan to buy our business wouldn't be easy, so we turned to one of our trusted friends for a referral. She told us about the outstanding level of customer service her business received at Signature Bank since becoming one of their first customers in 2006. Today, we couldn't be happier. Not only did Signature help us finance the purchase of the mail house, but they supported our growth as we modernized our operations in mailing as well as from traditional to digital printing. If you're looking for a great bank to grow your business, take a look at Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you heading into the new year with that same old joint pain? Get moving again in 2025 with help from our very good friends at QC Kinetics. You know, everybody's doing it, including Joe Rogan, who recently mentioned his positive results from regenerative medicine on his podcast. Revitalize your joints with advanced orthobiologic treatments at QC Kinetics. No steroids, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. This is the future of medicine, using an array of natural solutions like PRP to attack the pain from arthritis. Want to learn more about how you can refresh your joints, get lasting relief with these amazing treatments? Call QC Kinetics. The consultation is free with Saturday appointments available. Deal with that joint pain now so you can make the most of the new year. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Terry's Tiny Homes, Terry! Sure, as the only employee of her company, Terry was probably the front runner, but saving money getting personalized discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive, well, that gave Terry the edge. Over Terry. Terry! Terry! Keep awkwardly chanting your own name, Terry. You deserve it. Woo! Be your own Terry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
You said bye-bye to big government. Now it's time to trim the fat from Big Wireless. Pure Talk gives you the exact same service. They use the same cell towers, the same 5G network. You get better customer service, and you pay half the price for the exact same thing. Get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot for just $35 a month. Make the switch. You simply dial pound 250, say the keyword Save now. Save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this look at the travel times is a service of Balance of Nature fruits and veggies in a capsule. Order online at balanceofnature.com. Coupon code Chicago. Save 35%. Hurry, offer ends soon. Kennedy inbound 1 hour. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now at an hour 5 from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson right now running at 1 hour into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, 47 in from 95th to the Burns Circle interchange. Outbound I-57, an accident reported right at 111. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Flurries early this morning, cold. Clouds will break for the afternoon, a high near 20. Right now, cloudy and 22. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. After these statements of solidarity and a mass in furtherance of solidarity with the immigrant community, and I'm not sure there's any distinctions being made by the Catholic Church, we reached out on the show to Catholic Charities to have a discussion about their perspective and their role. We got this statement in response. Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Chicago is the largest human services provider in the Midwest, dedicated to a mission of serving the vulnerable across Cook and Lake counties. As a cornerstone institution and trusted partner for our region, we are called to help anyone in need, regardless of their race, gender, faith, ethnicity, or immigration status. We remain steadfast in our mission. We are supporting our staff and collaborating with our partners to serve people in need across our region. But they're not doing any interviews at this time. Yeah. Well, one of those quoted in ABC piece about that Southwest Side Mass I mentioned to stand in solidarity with local immigrants is Father Larry Dowling. And he was quoted as saying, it's really important to be present and let people know we will be there whenever we can to support them. Okay. Well, Pastor Larry Dowling joins us now. He is a retired pastor at St. Simone of Cyrene Catholic Parish in Chicago. Father Dowling, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Welcome, Dan. Good to be with you.
Before we begin, you weren't the inspiration for the Father Dowling mystery starring Tom Bosley, were you?
I was not. I tell people I'm the Father Dowling that doesn't have a clue.
Oh, no, very good.
That's good.
No, I'm saying, okay, to set you up for that. So the statement that you made about that Mass, is there any limiting principle to it with respect to immigrants?
I think the main thing is accompaniment wherever we can. Obviously, we're encouraging everyone to pray, to become more educated about the issues and all that the immigrant community adds to our country. I think in terms of being present, it means we need to be with them wherever we can in terms of making sure they know their rights, making sure that they are respectful to law enforcement, making sure that law enforcement, is providing, appropriate documents to, be able to, interact with them, and then to wherever we can support the mental health of these communities who are, in great fear now in so many different ways because of what is likely to transpire in the next few days and weeks and months.
Well, what about those who've committed crimes, and some serious crimes? Sex assault to minors, attempted murder.
Sure.
Do you think those people should be protected?
No. I mean, I think, if you're a criminal and you've gone through due process, you absolutely should be deported. There's no question about that. I'm talking about the those who are here who are contributing to the economy, who are doing work, who are adding to their community, to the fabric of their communities, and who are really adding value to this country.
Right, but I mean, is there any perspective on the how you separate those who are being productive from those who are not? I mean, in other words, Cardinal Supich and the Archdiocese and the Catholic Charity seem to take the position that come one, come all on your own terms, and then we'll sort of sort it out after the fact. Well, sorting it out after the fact is why, for example, the arrests of Venezuelans, or the arrests of people who list Venezuelan as their home country, were up 2,500% year over year last year. And so it's a little bit disconcerting for me when we talk about fear of deportation for people in this country illegally, but yet I don't hear very much from the church, starting with Cardinal Supich, about the fear that is instilled on the law-abiding in the city and the region by people in this country illegally who have committed crimes repeatedly. So we have all these preventable crime, both domestically, both indigenous and foreign, and there just doesn't seem to be the same concern about fear being inspired when it comes to people that are here illicitly. And you just mentioned respecting law enforcement. How does coming here illegally respect law enforcement?
Well, coming here illegally comes out of a necessity of fleeing countries where there is violence, where there is extreme poverty, where there are cartels and gangs who are violent, who are mostly drug cartels, and other types of cartels that are providing the flow of the drugs into this country. I mean,
well,
in a lot of ways
But opening the borders provides the flow of those gangbangers into places like Chicago. I mean, we know Tren de Aragua gang members are here.
Right. Well, we know there are some gang members here. I think the numbers have been exaggerated, but no question. I mean, there are gangs here that are doing harm. There's no question about it, and and we think that they should be dealt with. No question about it. That's in terms of the law of harming people and all that, I think that is clearly something that we make sure that we're abiding by, and making sure that those who are have committed crimes or are prosecuted and all that sort of stuff. But I think the main thing is we are a country that can that has the capacity to provide for people. So much of our money is concentrated in very few people, and and those very few people are managing to pit us against one another, and especially the poor and the poorest who have no power. And so ultimately we are as church called to support the powerless, and not to defend the criminals, not to do any of that, but to be present wherever we can to support people, to help them claim a voice when they are trying to provide for their families, to build community, to add value to to the country, and to be able to do that in a way that is is positive and obviously not negative.
Well, but you mentioned people coming to this country fleeing violence or persecution. Well, we have an asylum process for that, and a lot of people follow it, and a lot of people don't. And there doesn't seem to be a distinction between the two, number one. Number two, there's 8 billion people in the world, and unfortunately, billions of them live in poverty. Extreme poverty, wanting a better life, is not a legal basis to jump the line, according to immigration law in this country. And I don't understand why those distinctions are so difficult to enunciate.
Well, I don't think, again, they come because there's a need for labor. There's, and...
Well, they don't get to come on their own terms.
Unfortunately, Dan, our laws have not allowed enough legal immigration to allow, the number of workers that we need in this country to sustain the economy.
So the Catholic Church is in the position to determine that, and we can just ignore the law if we feel like the law is not accommodating the amount of labor we need from foreign countries?
Well, I think as in terms of our moral stance, we are trying to support people who are trying to make a living, trying to support their families, fleeing violence, and all those sorts of things. It's the law of love, and that is the law that we seek to abide by. So, and it's not that, again, the United States doesn't have the capacity to help these people if they are law-abiding. And we do. The country does, and and that's the craziness of it, is the people in power continue to play these games, dividing us, black against brown, and everyone against immigrants and all that, and we continue to fall into that trap. When in fact we should be focusing on those who are continuing to soak the flames of division in our society.
Well, I don't think this is. I mean, it's certainly not from our perspective, black versus brown or legal immigrant versus illegal immigrant. I mean that. Well, actually, that's what the distinction is: legal immigrant versus illegal immigrant. It has nothing to do with race or country of origin. Not for me, but. Again, when you say things like extreme poverty and persecution, however it's defined, and we just are going to ignore the law, we're going to take somebody's word for it, then in terms of their ability to come here, 8 billion people. That's why I ask, is there any limiting principle? And the position seems to be there's no limiting principle. So 8 billion people the world over, at least 40% of whom live in what we would define as extreme poverty, can come to this country on their own terms anytime they want and proceed accordingly. I mean, do you understand that there's nothing? No. And
I mean, again, the exaggeration that 8 billion people, we're going to welcome 8 billion people in this country, again, is a gross exaggeration.
Well, okay. How about the 10 million over the last 4 years?
People come because there is a need for jobs. People come because there is labor available, and the country does not allow enough legal immigrants to provide the basic labor that this country needs.
I understand, but so the person. I mean, foreigners get to decide whether or not they want to come to seek work. It's their call. It's not our call. So we're not a sovereign nation. We're a captive to the desires of people the world over who want to come for jobs. And we're going to make no sort of determinations or pre-qualification even on that score, because, well, that's what we've been doing. And that's what sanctuary city and sanctuary state designations in Chicago and Illinois mean, which is we're not going to cooperate with federal law enforcement. We're going to ignore federal immigration law because we're going to operate under what we say is the law of love. Right.
Absolutely, and the law of love, in our Christian tradition is excuse the expression, trumps everything, and that's I think the bottom line. And so, again, it's like, does the country have the compassion to reach out to these people? Does the country have the compassion and the capacity to care for these people and welcome them and welcome their gifts and do all of that? I think the country does, though I fear that we're losing that compassion.
So what do you say? I mean, for example, just to make this concrete,
sure.
A 27-year-old Mexican national killed two 21-year-old individuals in a car crash in Urbana, and then fled to Texas. He had previously entered this country legally and deported. He did it again, and he killed two people in a car crash in this country illegally. So what do you say to the families of Chloe Polzin of Deerfield and Catherine Abraham of Glenview, two 21-year-old kids who are dead because we're living under the law of love as opposed to the rule of law?
Well, we can. I mean, obviously there are individual circumstances. I mean, we have incredible violence already in this country.
So we should import more?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, yes, I mean, we take the opportunity to reach out and to welcome people and to help them to, integrate. And obviously, if they commit crimes, they need to be prosecuted. There's no question about it. I mean, I don't think that's that's the bottom line. That there needs to be repercussions. So. The influx of the amount of guns that that get from the United States into those countries, the amount of drugs that this country thrives on that are coming from out of those cartels, that flow through our border crossings. 80% of the of the drugs that get into this country actually come through the border crossings, and that's been true for forever and ever, and which says, okay, do we really care about stopping drugs in our country? Do we really care? And I don't think we do, because, there's a great industry in it. And, there are lots of people, rich people especially, are making lots of money on the drug industry. And so, we are stoking the fires of those cartels and, and the violence in those countries, in a lot of ways. And, which is why people are fleeing here, and hoping that there are compassionate people here that will welcome them.
Well, Trump is sending thousands to the border as we speak.
Do you find it at all ironic that the Vatican city-state, where the seat of the Holy See, has enacted stiffer penalties on anyone entering its territory or violating its airspace without permission, including jail time? Do you find that ironic that that's what's happening at the Vatican, and yet the Vatican and its outposts in places like Chicago are arguing just the opposite for civilian authorities?
Well, again, we as church are, again, whatever the the measures the Vatican is taking is, obviously for protection of people. Yeah. And do they prevent anyone from walking into the Vatican? Do they prevent tourists?
No, they have a process for entrance.
There's an incredible influx of people. I mean, people visit the Vatican over and over and over again. I mean, and so it's like it's like you're saying they're checkpoints, as they're entering Vatican City, which is absolutely not true. I mean, it's just ridiculous to even suggest that.
Well, there's a process, and there's punishment for people who enter illegally, literally. I mean, explicitly, unless you dispute that news story.
Well, I don't know what you mean by illegally. I mean, what does it mean to enter the Vatican illegally? So that's again, you're taking an example of something that, again, millions and millions of people, enter the Vatican every year. Millions.
I understand, but nowhere except in the minds of some here do we have people saying that you should be able to enter on your own terms for whatever your desired ends, which seems to be what you're saying about coming to this country.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, people have motivation for coming here, and it's to care for their families. It's to care for their loved ones.
Motivation. The motivation. I'm saying whatever your motivation. You're ascribing this motivation to everybody coming. But I'm saying, is there any process by which you should have to follow to enter this country? You're saying no, because your motivations are pure. That's enough.
No. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be, and I mean there clearly should be guidelines. I mean, if we actually pass laws, if Congress ever came together and actually passed laws to give those who are here, an opportunity to, pursue citizenship over 10 to 15 years, to be able to, and then, obviously border crossings that, are screening people and doing all of that. Absolutely, we need that. I mean, there's no question that we need that. But there's been no political will to do it because because immigration has become a weapon. It has become something that the powers that be. I mean, again, you look at Trump could have the Republicans and Democrats had a bipartisan plan, and Trump said no. I'm going to use this as a weapon. I'm going to use these immigrants as a weapon to get elected. And that's exactly what happened.
Respectfully disagree. But are you going to be harboring any illegals in your church or your former church or any place? Because now they can go into churches, they can go into schools and get people if they want to.
I am not. There's nothing. No, there's nothing that in terms of people. I don't know, harboring people or whatever that means. In terms
means hiding
of
them from
churches.
The feds.
That's up to each individual. Each individual. Pastor.
Well, do you know of any pastors that are doing that?
No, I do not. I know none, zero, that are doing that. So.
Father Larry Dowling, he's a retired pastor at St. Simone of Cyrene Catholic Parish in Chicago. Father Dowling, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, Dad. You take care. Bye.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The new year means new health goals, not just for your body, but your finances too. Your personal info is in so many places that are outside of your control. It only takes one mistake, and not even your mistake, to expose you to identity theft and lost funds. If your identity's stolen, LifeLock's restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your subscription money back, and resolve to make identity, health, and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Visit LifeLock.com and save up to 40% off your first year with promo code CLAY. Terms apply.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund has belonged to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax-confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity, and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
Jeff Tischlar, author of High Tech versus the Highest Tech, has shared his knowledge of the spectacular things that we see in nature as opposed to what man has created, and how this should inform one's faith. Jeff served on the mission field all over the world and has created this highly illustrated and concisely written technical book. The easy-to-read format is understood from the youngest reader to the most intelligent and mature readers. Google and Amazon book reviews include, "This is the best little book I have ever read. It is amazing how much information is in this book." And a beautifully written and illustrated book. The author has a gift for describing complicated technical details in a very understandable style. This book is available now in paperback on Amazon. Search High Tech versus the Highest Tech by Jeff Tischlar. 100% of proceeds go to missions. That's High Tech vs. the Highest Tech by Jeff Tischlar.
While Dennis Prager is recuperating, we know you miss your daily dose of Dennis. That's why Pragertopia is giving you a special gift. Right now, Pragertopia members can hear the best 2 hours of Dennis's favorite segments from as far back as 2010. On Monday, you can hear the Happiness Hour.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what I'm about.
Tuesday is Celebrity Guest Day.
Donald Trump Jr. is in studio with me.
On Wednesday, it's the Male-Female Hour.
I really do wish there were a way to ascertain the number of marriages that this hour has helped.
Thursday, the Ultimate Issues Hour.
Not having ultimate issues clarity is like having a map, but you don't know where you're going.
And Friday is Open Lines.
Feel free to ask me anything about me, about you, about life.
So if you're missing your daily dose of Dennis, go to Pragertopia.com and hear all your favorite segments, along with lectures, celebrity interviews, his famous Torah teachings, and more. Get your daily dose of Dennis at Pragertopia.com. Pragertopia.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Text line was blowing up during that segment.
I'm sure
coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
A lot of people sowing the seeds of love, a la Tears for Fears, I'm sure. At 8:38, we'll try to get some perspective on what's happening in California with the wildfires and in the wake of those devastating wildfires, as well as ascribing some responsibility to the policymakers. Phil Ambrose is the founder of HAZSIM, which is a training advice for first responders. He's also a current battalion chief in Southern California. Phil Ambrose joins us at 8:38.
Can't wait, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
8:33, firefighters in California this morning are battling to maintain the upper hand on a huge and rapidly moving wildfires sweeping through the rugged mountains and canyons north of L.A. Los Angeles County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney.
The Hughes Fire is now estimated to be over 9,400 acres with 0% containment, with no structures reported damaged or destroyed.
The blaze that broke out Wednesday resulted in more than 50,000 being put under evacuation warnings. Multiple reports say President Trump is readying 10,000 troops to go to the U.S. southern border. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis thinks the action is a great start.
The Pentagon and the people in the brass need to recognize that under Donald Trump, the military's mission is not just simply to be halfway around the world defending borders, but actually to defend our own borders.
The internal memo also says that the Border Patrol will use DOD bases to hold migrants awaiting deportation. 7 Texas police officers are hurt, shot while attempting to contact a barricaded and suicidal suspect in San Antonio.
Officers were called to the scene for a suicide in progress. The first officer who arrived was shot, and 6 others subsequent to that were shot as well.
San Antonio Police Chief William McManus. President Trump is suggesting there may be changes coming to FEMA.
I love Oklahoma, but you know what? If they get hit with a tornado or something, let Oklahoma fix it. You don't need, and then the federal government can help them out with the money.
In an interview on Fox News last night, Trump claimed that all FEMA does is complicate things and hasn't done its job for years. A woman killed in a house fire in northwest Indiana last night. Fire broke out around 8 p.m. in the 400 block of McKinley Avenue. Firefighters arrived to find the home fully engulfed, had trouble accessing the home. When they were finally inside, they found an elderly woman. She was rushed to St. Mary's Hospital in Hobart, where she later died. Closing arguments are underway in Mike Madigan's landmark corruption trial. Prosecution's closing argument yesterday featured Assistant U.S. Attorney Julia Schwartz, who said the former Illinois House Speaker and Michael McLean conspired to enhance and preserve Madigan's power and line his pockets. Northwestern, a Big Ten basketball win over Indiana last night, 79-70. Also last night, Loyola beat Fordham, 70-66. Tonight, the Fighting Illini host Maryland. The news is a service of Staples stores. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business, and right now at Staples. Save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
For over 100 years, St. Andrew's Lutheran School in the heart of Park Ridge has been dedicated to education excellence, spiritual growth, and service to the community. Parents continue to express their gratitude to the school for all it has to offer their children.
My second child just graduated from St. Andrew's Lutheran School in Park Ridge. Not only did both place into advanced classes in high school, but St. Andrew's teachers have enabled me to achieve my most important goal as a parent, to be confident that they know their Savior and that they'll be with me in heaven someday.
From kindergarten through 8th grade, your child will learn in a Christ-centered, individualized, nurturing environment. Take a tour, visit with faculty, and register for the upcoming school year on Sunday, January 26th from noon to 2. For details, visit St. Andrew's Lutheran School in Park Ridge online at standrewspr.org. Provide your child with the gift of a Christ-centered St. Andrew's education. Find out more today at standrewspr.org.
There is a place in northern Illinois that people have come from all around the globe seeking treasure.
It's amazing. I didn't know what to expect, but when I got there, I was surrounded by all kinds of gold and silver.
An actual place where you're surrounded by treasure?
I've known that gold and silver were a good investment, but I really didn't want to buy it through the mail. At Fox Valley Coins, I basically walked in, picked out what I wanted, paid cash, and walked out with gold and silver.
Walk in with paper and walk out with actual gold and silver bars. For decades, Fox Valley Coins has traded paper dollars for actual gold and silver. They buy and sell. The treasure map is available at foxvalleycoins.com. They are on Route 59, 1 light north of I-88 in Naperville, Illinois. Again, for info and the map, seek foxvalleycoins.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
8:40 is our time. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is the service of True Green. True Green, get a golf course quality lawn that's more affordable than you think. Don't wait. Sign up at truegreen.com for 75% off your first service. True Green, the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour. truegreen.com. Kennedy in right now, an hour 20. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange, an hour 15. On the inbound Ike, 390 into the old post office. Stevenson right now, 50 minutes in from the Tri-State to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. And the Dan Ryan, a full half hour, 95th into the Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Flurries breaking this morning, leaving us with clouds and sun for the afternoon and a high near 20. Clear and very cold overnight, a low of 3 above. Right now, cloudy at O'Hare, 22, flurries and 26 at Midway. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We played this clip from a 1961 documentary about California wildfires the other day, but in advance of our next guest, I want to revisit it. It's a documentary called Designed for Disaster about California wildfires that certainly included at least part of the region that was decimated by the most recent wildfires.
134 square miles of thick, dry chaparral and oak, all within the city boundaries of Los Angeles, classed by experts as the fastest burning ground cover in the Western Hemisphere. The fire, starting from its point of origin north of Mulholland on Stone Canyon, spreads out along canyon walls in 3 directions. Flames begin spreading at the rate of 13 acres per minute.
We've got a report of 4 people trapped on foot between Chelan and Roscommare. We need help from the police department. Send an ambulance to 2025 Stradella Road.
How can a modern water system properly designed to meet emergency fire conditions fail to function? 484 times, fire proved its deadly efficiency by incinerating in a few roaring minutes what families had taken years to acquire.
So it's not to say that you can prevent these natural disasters, but you can certainly mitigate them through best practices learned over time, one would think, and technological innovations and so forth. And so it's a real head-scratcher and I think to most people who've observed this, particularly after watching their public officials in action, how this could have been allowed to be as bad as it was, particularly when you have some comparisons and contrasts, like, for example, Rick Caruso's mall in Pacific Palisades that had a fire suppression plan that was executed and that mall was saved, and most of the rest of the Pacific Palisades burned down. For more on the topic, we're pleased to be joined by Phil Ambrose, who is the founder of HazSim, which is a training device for first responders. He is also a current battalion chief in Southern California. Phil Ambrose, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
So just, your sort of global perspective on what has transpired there over the last couple to few weeks.
I think global starts with the victims. I don't think there's anyone in the LA area that doesn't know somebody that was impacted. I was at work during the event, and we had a handful of families, I think up to 3, staying at our house because we were not anywhere near that area. And I've got a cousin that lost his home. He was actually FaceTiming with me throughout the day, and they were fairly far away from where the fire front was, and they're in Malibu. And, I had to tell them, hey, it's probably time now to start moving because this thing's not going to stop. So, and then global perspective, the history you just played, I can speak to the suppression side. I'm not a policymaker, obviously, but as a brand new firefighter in California, and I'll say specifically Los Angeles, that video or the audio you just played from that, historical fires are not lost. Even new rookies, we've had, my department has had fires that have swept through, and actually we had people injured, severely burned through past fires. So we study them, and we understand that growth is there and the potential is there. Global picture, it was a wind event I hadn't seen since 2011. We had a similar wind event that I still don't think reached those 80, 90, 100. I want to say up in the high peaks of LA, because a lot of people forget that we've got 9,000, 8,000 foot peaks in Los Angeles County. I want to say they tracked winds upwards of a couple 100 miles an hour, which is just insane. So when something starts, it's going. So global perspective is it wasn't that it wasn't surprising. We've always known there's the potential, and that we'd be and we have, in fact, you can Google it and find any sort of rookie training manual, or even for a battalion chief, and it talks about things like fire front following, which is our methodology for, we know we're not going to be able to stop it head on, and it's going to be something that we're going to be following and putting out embers after it passes, or checking on residents. So global perspective, it's a pretty horrific event.
And global perspective on the response, the policy response in particular, or the policies that predated this event. Is there any question in your mind that it should not have been as devastating as it was had policies and the response been better?
Well, it's tough, and I know that the one advantage I had from being out during this whole thing is I really didn't have internet. I didn't have time, for one. So it wasn't until not too many days ago that I saw a lot of the rhetoric, right, from several things that were just almost comical to a firefighter, meaning just things. You hear a lot of talk about we should do more controlled burns. Well, a controlled burn is, if somebody said, hey, we're going to blow up your neighbor's house because it's easier to get rid of it, you'd probably go, yeah, I'm not so sure about using explosives next to my house. And a controlled burn, the word controlled is almost, with our weather conditions down here, there's very few times a year we can do a controlled burn, if any. And there's actually only, I think it's less than 50 people qualified in the state to make the call to do that, to actually operate and do a controlled burn. So that was one thing I heard a lot about that was like, wow, it sounds great on paper, but that's actually not a very easy tactic. For me, I live in LA, born and raised LA County. I actually, my wife and I, when the market was right, we actually looked at after college, I lived up in the Malibu Hills area. We looked at a house we could afford up there, and I did not want to even make an offer because I knew it was in a fire-prone area. And my perspective now is I think a lot of people will double think that, and I'm putting that like on a personal perspective, meaning the government didn't tell me it was safe or not safe. I just knew, hey, this isn't a good area. Be curious to see if that house is still standing. The personal responsibility, you mentioned Caruso and his property. There was probably some things he did. I like Rick. He's connected with my kid's high school. He's a good man, good business person, and great philanthropist. But some of the measures, we'll tell people there's brush clearance and it's required every year. As you probably heard, we called it a fire season because it kind of typically matched the pattern. But as a firefighter, there is no fire season. This disaster happened in January. We had the Montecito fires, which were devastating in Santa Barbara County, similar time of year. It's all with those wind alignments. So what do? I made the choice not to purchase a home in that area. If I had a home in that area, it's called home hardening, which a lot of that is the government isn't necessarily going to come up onto your property and they're going to tell you should. There's a lot of personal responsibility of making sure your home is home hardened. And you see way more of that in areas that are less municipal. And I'll give you an example. We have Catalina Island offshore of LA County. They know that if they had a fire on that island, the island would be devastated. Why? Because they have, a couple fire engines total on the whole island. They have lots of brush that they do keep fairly well cleared, and they're remote. Kind of like if you've ever been to a mountain community, they smell smoke and they're like, where the closer you get to a big city, I think we have this reliance on, you call 911, fire engines there within 4 or 5 minutes, and they put out the fire. And unfortunately, the way this thing hit, the system just wasn't designed to handle it.
Well, how do you sort of delineate the finger pointing that's going on and some of these issues that have been raised by people in charge of various component parts of the system, the budget cuts, the fire equipment that was in disrepair, the reservoir that was offline? The factor. Give us your perspective on all of those factors in terms of contributing to the devastation.
Yeah, and I'm not a policymaker, and I don't work for big city, but I think people should be aware that within LA County, 29 individual municipal fire departments. So, like the area I live is served by the county fire department, but you could live, throughout the county. Your fire engine that shows up could have a different logo on the side, or your city may be responsible for its own water system. So when you take a global perspective of the whole county, there's cities that completely have control over all of their public services, and there's others that contract them out, so they're a little more beholden to a larger thing. I know, and you've probably heard it because I think everything's been said, but the municipal water supply in general and the Eaton fire was much closer to what I was involved in. So it's tough to speak for Palisades. But if you wanted me to give, say, rhetoric, Malibu, which is a whole separate city right up the coast from Pacific Palisades. A lot of people don't know that despite multi-million-dollar houses, there's lots of that city that's on septic, right? It's on septic because building a sewer system would be a monumental thing to do, cost, everything else. And besides government, it's also people that are in the way because, there's residents that are going to say, no, I don't want you to dig up PCH in front of my house because it's going to make things inconvenient. So similar to water systems and fire safety, it's more than just the government. It's people and past policies of being able to build too much. And I think if anything, if you go downrange, it's going to get more people will probably have the perspective of saying, maybe I won't build there because this just isn't a good idea. This view just doesn't look good enough. Because a lot of those places, got to remember, it's people had a personal choice whether or not to live there. And what's horrific, though, is there's areas of Altadena that burn that even as a firefighter, the fire would have never come down the hills if it had not been for that catastrophic wind. And in that case, which I'm very familiar with, no amount of water supply or fire engines really would have helped. Budget-wise, I've heard that too. Every government division, if you picked on all of them, you're going to have a maintenance yard with vehicles in various states of repair because it costs money. And for, whether it be hiring mechanics, all that stuff, I've heard that about LA. And I also, I'm a little better at math than most, so the number they keep throwing out is a fraction of their overall budget.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not incredibly familiar with that. But I would just say on a bigger perspective, most of us don't have a car on blocks in our driveway. But when it comes to police departments, fire departments, public works departments, you're going to have apparatus that are in states of disrepair, and it's usually money. Sometimes it's hiring people that can work on this equipment because a fire apparatus is actually it's a very complicated piece of equipment because you've got, it seems simple, big diesel engine and a pump and all the rest of this, but it's like almost up there with working on a helicopter. There's lots of systems that you just need to have specialized training in. So I personally, through that wind event, one of the things that doesn't get talked about enough is there were resources pre-deployed throughout the state. I know we were a part of that, meaning you hear about whether or not there was resources put in Palisades, which I can't speak to because I do know that there's a lot of really qualified commanders that were on shift that day. But I know the Palisades fire happened before the Altadena fire, and then the pre-deployed resources throughout the state, go to that fire. They're not going to hold them back completely. They will. They'll move them around because the potential.
But I mean,
even now there's another fire in LA.
But yeah, right. But you had all those fire hydrants that failed, that didn't have access to water. I mean, when you get up to speed on what Karen Bass said and did, and hearing from Quinones at Power and Water, even hearing from the fire chief and LAFD. I mean, does anything that you heard or saw from those who are policymakers concern you?
Well, the LA fire chief, I know quite well, and my opinion of her is that she's a very, very good leader and good person. So it was hard to see a lot of the things that had come out because I think under the conditions, the water, it's something they will. I could tell you right now that when that many hydrants are used, they're just not meant for that. But there's other things that. I mentioned that some cities have their own water department, water everything, including the city I work for and the neighboring two cities, where sometimes what happens when a hydrant doesn't work is the water supply that the hydrant's getting the water from is maybe below that hydrant in such a way that they need a pump. It's not gravity fed. And if that pump was knocked out due to a power failure, which it should be on an emergency backup, that'll make the hydrant go dry. So it's unacceptable that you wouldn't have any, from what I've heard, all the water supply there. I can't speak to it, but I would say that's not. And one of the things that should come up in the investigation is that the hydrants didn't fail in other cities. And some of the reservoir issues, when I did hear it, I mean, we have mostly covered reservoirs you won't even see. You have reservoirs that are because they're covered, and that's especially if it's anything with the drinking water, they won't be open anymore. And the fact that one was drained, I just know from living in this town, that project could have been something that had just been going on for years, and it wasn't. I don't know. I know enough math to say if you're going to refill that reservoir in a matter of days, it probably would have taken quite a while. So. If I was a resident up there, I just talked to my cousin yesterday. Yeah, he was concerned with all those same things. I said, yeah, that's something in investigation. Although, as a firefighter, we'd like to also bring water with us, with water tenders and things like that. But if hydrants are dry, that's unfortunate.
Well, quickly, President Trump suggested yesterday to hold off federal funds until Governor Newsom lets the water flow from Northern California to Southern California. Is that really a thing?
Well, you could get on Google and show me that big water supply up in Northern California, because I've lived here my whole life. And, I don't know that there was some sort. I didn't realize there was that magic dam that we could release and send it all to Southern California. Most of our water we do get from Northern California. That's no secret. That's the Owens River Valley that we got water from. If he means the Pacific Northwest, it perhaps we do look at something where we can get water from where it rains quite a bit more. When I did hear that, I kind of scratched my head, because there's water in Northern California, but I don't think as much as people think. And as far as easy, like just Newsom or any governor flipping a switch and sending us water, I think they would have figured out that a long time ago. And that's just as a California resident. And just look on a map, find me that lake that's going to supply the demand for Southern California.
Well, I think he was talking. I think he was talking about the Pacific Northwest and that dam that he and Newsom and Kate Brown together blew up effectively. Phil, we got to leave it there. Phil Ambrose, founder of HAZSIM, which is a training device for first responders. He's also a current battalion chief in Southern California. Phil Ambrose, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line. Thanks to Justin and Quinn. We're back here tomorrow morning. It's now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
He's ready to battle sanctuary cities. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. As President Trump plans mass deportation